myself vulnerable.
WISTVPN.
That's why we shine wherever we go. 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 Lord, Lord. Welcome to the mind of a pothead. On my head, see a young nigga got dressed. We don't give a fuck what a cop said. I'm living a legacy. So even when I die, I am not dead. Nigga, I am not dead. Fuck with me.
WISTVPN.
Great afternoon to you, wonderful people. Let's try this again. Welcome to this Wednesday edition of I Said What I Said. We are live from the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios alongside Tucson Warner. My name is Herb Howard. Thank y'all so much for y'all patience. We had a little bit of an issue trying to launch this afternoon, but I think we got it under control, and we are set to roll here at What's In It for the Black People Media. Again, thank y'all so much for tuning in. This is I Said What I Said each and every weekday, 3 to 6 p.m. We get together right here with you guys and discuss issues that are currently impacting the black community, how they impact us as individuals, but also how they impact us as a collective. And along with your contribution, we try and find some solutions for how we can overcome those issues, again, overcome them as individuals, and more importantly, overcome them as a collective. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. As always, your input is valued. It is certainly appreciated. Anything you want to add to the conversation, feel free to do so. We will read through as many of your comments as possible while we go through the show. We would kindly ask you, please take a quick second to share the broadcast. Share it on your personal page. Share it even within your personal network. Anyone that you think would add value to or find value in this particular conversation, we welcome them to be a part of the discussion, because we believe that the more like-minded individuals we can get to be a part of this conversation, the better the opportunities we have of finding those aforementioned solutions. So please, if you will, be so kind as to share the broadcast. Again, this is I Said What I Said. It is intellectual thuggery at its absolute finest. My name is Herb. His name is Tu. Tu, what's happening, good brother?
What's up, family? I'm blessed and highly favored. How you?
Man, ain't nothing to it, man. Just trying to get this thing up and off the ground. Technology is a beautiful, beautiful thing when it works, and then when it doesn't, kind of leaves you looking like, I don't really like it.
Yeah, just kind of dookies on you.
Yeah, I'm not a real, big technology guy anyway. I don't too much like it for this very, very reason. You become so dependent on it, and then when it decides it ain't rocking with you, then you just kind of up a creek. But that is the value of having a very, very good team, and one of our teammates is in the production studio handling business as he always does. Let's say what's up to the good brother Flo. Flo, how you feeling in there, my brother?
I'm feeling good, brother. Another day, another dollar, as I always say.
I hear that. Appreciate you helping us get this thing rocking as we experience just a little bit of technical difficulty trying to launch today. Absolute pleasure to work with you as always.
Yes, sir.
Obviously, I echo those same sentiments to you too most of the time. Nah, man, but I'm feeling pretty good, man. It's a beautiful day outside. The sun is shining. It's relatively decent in terms of the temperature outside. This will be the last day that we can say that, though. If all of that snow that's outside does not melt by tomorrow, we're gonna be stuck with it for at least a week. Have you seen the 10-day outlook forecast for the coming?
I haven't seen it, but everybody talking about how it's supposed to be freezing.
Yeah, it's finna be cold. Like colder than that thing. It's finna be super, super cold. And
Chicago though, man.
Yeah, Chicago.
We had a fairly light winter.
We live where we live. We've had probably 2 or 3 mild winters in a row, so it ain't nothing to complain about. It's just the reality that snow don't melt today, because it's a little bit above freezing today. So it's like 36, 37 today. if that snow does not melt today, then we stuck with it for a week because it's going to be below zero and all that snow going to stick. And I think it's supposed to snow tomorrow anyway. And so whatever comes down tomorrow will definitely be there for at least a week. So hopefully not a whole lot comes down tomorrow because then that would make the commute for everybody very, very treacherous come Friday because, even if that snow don't stick that long, it's going to get wet and then it's going to turn to ice as soon as, it's 14 degrees on Friday. So, we live where we live. It's the greatest city in the world, but from December to April, anywhere else will do for me. I ain't going to even hold you.
Real quick, around that snow, though, right? Mm-hmm. I was reading this article on CNN, and it's about Pennsylvania. It's not about Chicago, but it's a snow conversation.
Yeah.
Right? It said that 3 people, including the shooter, are dead after a dispute over snow shoveling in Plains, Pennsylvania.
Come again, say what?
3 people are dead over a dispute over snow shoveling in Plains, Pennsylvania. That's insane in itself. This played out. I'm only going to read like 2 sentences. It says, as they argue, the release says Spade, which is the offender, I'm assuming, went to his house, retrieved a handgun, and came back outside firing multiple shots at close range at the Goys. The Goys must be the victims.
The victims, right.
He then went back into the house, pulled out an AR-style rifle, and fired at the injured Goys, executing them. So he then went in the crib.
Shot him.
Came back with a handgun.
Shot him.
Shot him close range.
Right, wounded enough that they can't leave.
Went back in the crib, got an AR, and came back and executed him over snow shoveling over a parking spot.
First of all, man, rest in peace to those victims. That is absolutely tragic.
Then went back in the house and killed himself.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where the BS comes into the game, man. We gotta get the jar out the thing too. I'll go get it in a second. That's where the BS comes into the game because if you are to the point where you ready to get up out of here, fam, go on get up out of here. You done with this whole life thing? Go ahead and bounce. You ain't gotta take nobody with you. You do not have to do that.
That just wouldn't be the American way, though.
It wouldn't be. That's what we do. We kill people and then kill ourselves. And everybody's coming with me. Like, nobody want to go with you, fam?
We want it all.
Yeah, that thing ain't cool, man.
That's wild, though, bro. That's crazy.
It speaks directly to the mental health situation. Suge, what's happening to my partner, Rashad Archie, man? That's really like my brother right there, man.
What's up, Rashad?
It's my man's in them. Anyway, man, it speaks to the mental health in our community. Were these people black?
It doesn't really say. But Plains, Pennsylvania.
That kind of makes me think they might be white.
Yeah, ain't too many Pennsylvanians of the Negroid
persuasion,
ethnicity. You know what I mean?
Nah, I feel you. So I don't know, but either way, it speaks to the mental health of people right now in the times that we living in, where you are that unstable to where a small situation like a dispute over the snow can lead to multiple people losing their lives. That's crazy. And the manner in which you did it, you ain't just pop. You ain't go. See red for a second. You saw red, shot them people, went in the house, got a gun, shot them people. Like, oh, that's not enough. I gotta go get a bigger gun, shoot them some more. Like that is crazy. That is.
Yeah, man, we living in interesting times, man. We start thinking about the pressure that people are under.
Yeah.
Right? And I'm not just talking about this last year where we dealing with COVID and all of the stuff that brings, but just American life. Like even the raid at the Capitol, man. Like we could look at that as a Trump-inspired incident, and it is a Trump-inspired incident.
Mm-hmm.
But in my mind, the reaction is it's predicated by the loss of finances, even in white America. Mm-hmm. Right? When you start thinking about how wealth is calcifying and how much the greedy or the 1% is really taking from the communities.
Yeah.
And white life being a through line for white life, that white life is just more valuable.
Yeah.
You start thinking about Iowa, you start thinking about Oklahoma, you start thinking about those rural area white folks, right? Poverty is real there too.
That's why they spazzed.
That's why they went crazy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So Trump looks like hope because traditionally they've been losing out too.
Mm-hmm.
They starting to feel what it feels like to be black at some levels.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No, it's a very, very real thing. I was watching Muwak Hill's World. Shout out to King Salim. All honor and respect, King. And he had a brother on the show, and his name is escaping me right now. But the brother was talking about this idea of artificial intelligence and how many computers and robots are replacing jobs. Same conversation that you have a lot. But what he was saying about it was that there has to be some sense of humanity in these people that will allow them to place a greater value on human life than anything else. And I said, man, the brother got more faith in these people than me, in these decision makers than me, because all I see them valuing is the almighty dollar. That's it. They're not valuing human beings over that dollar. And so when you're dealing with that kind of situation, I don't really see how this thing gets better, right? It's going to turn into that thing where eventually the only thing left for the poor to eat is going to be the rich. And that's just going to be what it is because they're too greedy. They don't see it that far down the line. They just like, what can I get right now? Give me everything, give me everything, give me everything. And eventually the people who are left without are going to revolt in a way that is going to be detrimental to everybody involved. They ran into the Capitol, you know what I'm saying, last month. What's going to be the next thing? You know what I mean? And so you got these people who are pushed to the brink of existence, pushed to the brink of survival, literally and figuratively, and people snap under that type of pressure. That type of pressure kills you or it makes diamonds, right? And that's just the reality of the situation that a lot of people are dealing with right now.
Yeah, that story's sick. They are white folks that just looked it up. And then there was some other issues, like they have a history of being at it with each other. They was neighbors. You know? It's like the McCoys in the Hatfield.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But a real statement about that behavior is welcome to black life.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? That's how volatile and vulnerable black life has been since the inception of black life on this planet. At least, let me not say on this planet, but definitely in these Americas.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at some level, it's a sad thing, but I'm kind of, even when you start mentioning the Salim conversation, I'm kind of on either you with me or you ain't. Right. And I know that sounds harsh, but my sympathies are reserved for us. That's just real.
No, we don't have the capacity to deal with other people's sugar honey iced tea right now. We just don't have the capacity to deal with it. There's too much on our own plate for me to be like, oh, what about them and what about good luck. Good luck. And I can say that without any semblance of guilt or selfishness because nobody has ever thrown us a bone. Nobody's ever thrown us a line and say, hold on, let me pull you on up. Nobody's ever done that for us. So we just don't have the capacity to deal with other people's issues right now. It's just the reality of the situation.
So real quick, I'm just scanning through some of these news articles. It says, man shoveling snow has car stolen in Noble Square carjacking. 4 teens arrested.
Mm-hmm.
This goes back to the conversation we was having the other day about how they're categorizing these carjackings.
Lizzie Rowe, hey, appreciate you checking in.
How do you shovel snow
Mm-hmm.
while simultaneously drive a car to get carjacked?
You can't. But if he out there buys his car and he's shoveling snow and they run him with a pistol and take his car, that's carjacking.
So I talked to the police the other day,
Mm-hmm.
and they called me about the conversation we was having about me saying that's a mischaracterization.
You see who you are, man? The police call you?
They do.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? Police ain't never called me. They better not.
Hey, but we're going to have the police
My
on
police
air.
friends don't even call me.
We're going to have police on the air next week, sometime next week. I told
Cool.
him
I always like talking to the people, man.
Because he was like, yeah, you're right, too. He's like, I ain't going to lie to you. You're right. It's how we label the things, right?
Yeah.
He was like, it's not necessarily how
Cooking the stats.
the public views carjacking, but if you come, even the video we played the other day where the little shorties ran up on them and they didn't even take the car.
Right.
But because they stole things out the car, it's categorized as a carjacking.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
So you get this public heightened fear, and then you get the responses that we getting publicly, where they calling for a new crime bill 2.0. Right? It's all a game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So he's gonna come on air sometimes next week. We just got to figure out the schedule and have him kind of explain that in more detail, and then we can kind of just pick his brain about the police department in general.
Right.
I doubt he's gonna be forthright. Why not? We're gonna throw that out there too. You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm always down to talk to them. I'm always down to have the conversation with police officers, with law enforcement. Like I say often, I have some people in my life that I'm very, very close to that I love dearly, would do anything for, and they happen to be police officers. And I tell them to their face, ain't no good cops, not even you. Okay? That in my personal opinion, that thing doesn't exist. Not until I see good cops holding bad cops accountable. But that's not the conversation today. Either way, I'm cool with having that conversation with them. I'm actually looking forward to it. Today we're going to get into a couple of things, man. We're going to be joined shortly, in fact, by Obari Cartman and from Real Men Charities and over at the Quarry, and they do a lot of good things with Real Men Cook and the charity programs they put together, and a lot of different programs they do focusing on health, specifically of black men in particular. They do like weekly yoga for free over at the Quarry. They put together a lot of different events, and Obari is in the middle of a lot of those types of conversations. And so I thought it would be cool to have him on and have a conversation with him. So he is going to be joining us shortly. Looking forward to talking to brother Obari Cartman, him and his brother Allende Cartman, who won't be on the show today, but they have been at the center of a lot of things that are positive in the community. Carl Winslow is not a good cop. Carl Winslow, this is what I mean. I'm glad you said that, Suge. I know you're being funny, but I'm glad you said that because I recently stumbled across a scene. I guess I was going down a black hole YouTube of cop stuff, and a scene pops up about Carl Winslow. What was his son's name in the show?
Eddie
You remember?
Winslow.
Eddie Winslow. Eddie Winslow had got pulled over by some white cops like the night before, and they harassed him, jacked him up, threw him on the ground, put a pistol on him, all that kind of stuff. And he come in there upset, and he telling Carl Winslow that, you know, this just happened to me, and they profiled me, and they only did it because I was black. Carl Winslow, a cop, lifetime cop. He's like, oh, they didn't do that to you for no reason. What were you doing? Where were you speeding? Yada, 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 yada. Pretty much told his son, I don't believe what you're saying. Go ahead, about your business. But, you know, he's still a father. So later, like the next day he sees these cops in like the diner eating donuts and coffee or whatever they do. And so he goes up on him and he's like, you know, did y'all pull over this kind of vehicle, young black male? He's like, yeah, he had a lot of mouth on him too. He's like, man, that's my son. He's like, oh, well, you should have, if I knew it was your son, I wouldn't have treated him like that. He's like, what you mean if he was my son? Like, y'all ain't have no right to treat him that way in the first place. Point is, I'm going way too far with it. But all I'm saying is that if Eddie Winslow was a good cop, you might have just believed that your son who said that he was racially profiled and abused by these cops. But because they always put blue first. Now I say they put blue over black, right? When we talk about these black cops, I say y'all put blue over black all the time. This man put blue over his own blood. You know what I'm saying? On a TV show, no less.
So I didn't see the Carl Winslow comment at first.
Uh-huh.
So when you said Carl Winslow, it's somebody in the comments named Henry Williams, light-skinned cat who looks just like Carl Winslow. I thought you was talking about him. So
Wait, a light-skinned dude like Carl Winslow?
He's in the comments looks just like Carl Winslow. I thought you was talking about him. And he was trying to make jokes about my hair, said I love the B2K hairstyle too. So light-skinned Carl Winslow in the comments, that's your shout-out that you asked for, okay, Carl? Carl Winslow, how about that?
Shout out to Bella, man, for keeping you laced on the hair side,
That's right,
man.
my baby girl.
Look like she put a little extra pink lotion in something in there today, man.
Up today, G. I look like I've been on the west side about to start a fight.
That is good stuff. That is good stuff. So, you know, those are some of the conversations that we're going to be getting into today. Shout out to the Bigs, man. They was talking about the Cubs, so I figured I threw my Cubs hat on today. They was talking baseball, and it's not looking good for the Cubs, man. It's not looking good for the Cubs. Hopefully Brandon ain't made it in here yet. Brandon Tomlin, Terrence's brother, because he's diehard Cubs fan. I'm a huge Cubs fan too. But BT didn't even like me saying that the Cubs probably not gonna win again for a long time. He like, man, stop playing. But all I'm saying is, Cubs fans won 108 years without winning the World Series. They win one, and now they think we're supposed to win one every year. Myself included. I'd be like, man, we supposed to win. Man, please. I never thought we was gonna win one. So now I think we're supposed to win them all.
When was the year they won? It was like
2016.
2016.
Mm-hmm.
But then there was a run, maybe like 2006 or something like that. You remember that?
Mm-hmm. Well, the White Sox won in 2005. The Cubs had a chance in like 2008, I want to say.
2008?
Yeah.
So 2008, you know, I'm a hustler, consummate hustler. So I had an idea. I was going to make some T-shirts, go up there and sell them at Wrigleyville, and I could care less about some baseball.
Smart man.
I can't stand baseball, but I sold all them T-shirts. And somebody, I don't know who, hit a foul ball out the park, and it legitimately landed in my lap.
Yeah.
It got me a real Cubs
Oh, that's what's up.
ball from whatever that year was.
Oh, you got more than you bargained for. You sold all your shirts, and you got you a playoff ball or something?
Got me a ball. I was trying to sell a ball because I could give it to everybody.
Yeah, whatever.
You know what I mean?
Oh, you cursing already?
Yeah.
Let me go get the jar, man. Talk to the people. I'm going to go grab the jar. So if you don't know, and you need to shout out Shannon anyway. So, and she just popped in. Shannon popped in at the perfect time. So go ahead. Do that. I'm gonna go get the jar.
Absolutely. So today, not today, but all the last couple of days, what we've been trying to do for Black History Month is honor the ancestors and not curse as much as we usually do. So we got this plan to kind of keep us focused that every time we slip and say a curse word, we're going to put $1 in the jar. The $1 in the jar at the end of the month will go to the charity of our choice. We talked about a few charities. One was Emerald Green's charity. I can't remember the name of Emerald Green. I think it's Sandwich Ministry or something like that. And the other one we was considering was Black Culture Week with TJ Crawford. And also, man, shout out to Shannon Young. Shannon Young sent us $20 for the cursing fund. So I wasn't clear about the 20. I don't know if that's
what you think it was.
I don't know if that's because Shannon cursed 20 times yesterday.
Or Shannon cursed like a cell.
Or if it's $20 for us to have free reign to get our 20 off.
No, don't be trying to cheat the charities, man. That is not what
that's
it is.
Exactly what it
Do
is.
not be trying to cheat the charities.
Here's the $20 fund for the day.
Hey, Shannon, this man trying to steal your $20. That is Shannon's cursing fund.
The charity's going to steal our $20. We're donating it off.
You go pay for your own curse words. Shannon gonna contribute what she want to contribute.
Contributing for our curse words today. She likes to hear us curse. So that we got 20 to go.
Oh, is that what it is? Because she do like to hear us curse. She was the one who was like, "Why y'all gonna not curse?"
That's right. So don't waste them. It's 20.
Fuck. All right, I'm done. So that's what's going on with the cuss fund. I think we got like $25, $24 a year, something like that. We'll see where we are at the end of the day, but hopefully by the end of the month we'll be able to make a respectable, reasonable, sizable contribution to some of the charities that are out here doing great work in the community. Speaking of charities doing great work in the community, our next guest. It's from Real Men Charities, man. They do Real Men Cook. They over at the Quarry. They making sure things are happening in the community. They are focused on health, physical health, mental health, spiritual health in the Black community. They offer free yoga to men. And I think recently I saw a post that they were talking about opening up to women as well in the community. Our next guest is none other than Dr. Obari Cartman. Obari, what's going on, good brother? How you feeling?
What's going on, Black people? How y'all feeling, man?
Man, ain't nothing to it. Appreciate you taking time out of the schedule to come chop it up with us, man.
Ain't nothing to it, man. Fuck with y'all, so it's all good.
That's gonna cost you $1. We not cursing all month.
No. That's gonna cost you $1, nigga. I'm a guest, Joe. I curse as much as I want for the charity. I'm doing this for the people. I'm gonna curse all day now that I know my money go to a good place. Fuck y'all.
You see,
we ain't counting your curses, fam.
You see how people act when they find out we're doing this. Maze do 3 hours every single morning and don't say a single curse word. He hop on ISWIS for 2 minutes and drop 44 curse words.
I swear to God, man.
Unbelievable, it's for the people,
but
man.
It'll go to a good cause, man. Why don't you tell the people a little bit about yourself and some of the work that you all doing at Real Men Charities, everything that's going on over at the Quarry. Introduce yourself to the people for those who may not know who Dr. Obari Cartman is.
So the Real Men Charities piece, my role there as the program director. The Real Men Charities organization started 30 years ago doing the Real Men Cook event. That's how the nonprofit came out of. And it was a Father's Day celebration, annual Father's Day celebration. It ended up being in cities all over the country, just to honor, really Black men that are stepping up in their families and celebrating them and giving them a chance to be visible and change the narrative about what fatherhood is. And that turned into a whole nonprofit. So our founders, Yvette Moyo and Kofi Moyo, it's a family affair. They brought me and my brother in about 5 years ago to expand some of the mental health and some of the mentoring programming. The nonprofit started about 20 years ago. They've always been about mental health. This organization, for decades, they've been on supporting Carl Bell's mental health community mental health center, and just thinking about that one of our executive directors committed suicide a couple years ago.
Wow!
And so it's just been a really a comprehensive way to think about the wellness of men, celebrating fatherhood, using food, nutrition, and now expanding our program. We bought the space called the Quarry on Southeast. Bought it about two and a half years ago.
Eastside Crazy is an absolutely beautiful facility. Correct me if I'm wrong. Is it 25? What's the address? 25?
2423 East 75th Street.
East 75th.
Yeah, on the corner between Yates and Phillips on 75th.
Yeah, it's an absolutely
we saw what's happening
facility.
in the community, man. They about to eat up that whole neighborhood. There's the development on the lake. They about to have the Obama Center. We seeing a land grab happening, so we had to buy up some space so we could do what we want to do out of it. So and it's a tough goal, just having an event center during a pandemic. So we've had to make some adjustments, but we're doing what we can to hold on to some Black-owned space to do good programming, do community wellness work. So we're proud of the work we're doing there at the Quarry.
I'm proud of the work that y'all doing over there too, man. It's a phenomenal space. It is a multi-use space. It has the huge event center in there where you put on live shows and have different events and ballroom type of things. And then it has the other side that's a smaller event space. It's got a full operational kitchen. It's got other side rooms to do all these different things in. It is a comprehensive community space that allows you all to do a whole lot of things, and you guys maximize every bit of that space. You do the drum circles and things like that, even outside. So y'all take the drum circles outside, and it is a different thing to come over east down 75th Street and see a bunch of brothers with the shorties out there having a whole drum circle. People are like, what's going on over there, right? It's a really, really cool thing to see. But also the yoga, which is also not commonplace when you talk about black men in our communities. And so having the free yoga sessions, what are some of the other programs you guys are doing over there in terms of what you guys?
We started about a month or so ago. We started a free breakfast program. So every morning we got a partnership with Soul Veg and New Era, where we passing out to the community, a couple different centers in the community. About almost 1,000 breakfasts we've done so far, all community ran, all donation based. So that came out of a partnership with Soul Veg, who has been occupying the small space for the last couple months. They'll be there for at least another month. So while they renovating the shop on 75th, they've been popped up at the quarry doing, you know what I'm saying? They got their raw bar, they got their dinners. So if y'all want some good food, some nutrition, we're trying to get our immune systems right now, still in the middle of this pandemic. So we're trying to provide all the different needs that we can for the community. We do a lot of stuff around literacy in the partnership with Brown Books and Paintbrushes. We do pop-up, you know what I'm saying, literacy expos, give away free black books. We got a library that sits outside the space, a free children's library where you can always come by and exchange books. And I mean, it's really just an event space just for anything too. So if y'all want to rent it, if you want to do, you know, parties from jazz to, you know what I'm saying, birthday parties, whatever it is, it's an all-encompassing space. We just want to be a service to the community, really. We do a lot of food giveaways, a lot of book giveaways, a lot of stuff. We want to do as much as we can for free for the community. And like you say, in that neighborhood, it's a lot of trauma, you know what I'm saying, a lot of addiction, a lot of violence. So we want to break that up with some deliberate African-centered cultural wellness practices that we offer to the people for free. So,
well, let me say, man, that I really appreciate the work. I am a lifelong South Shore resident, native, and I just appreciate the fact that the quarry is over there and for all the things that you all do in that space. I appreciate it. It is certainly a necessary thing, too. I think I cut you off on something.
Yeah, he was just talking about the land grab over there, man. It just hit me because last night I was watching this documentary about the tearing down of the CHA building and just the design of it in general. And there was a piece in there where they said that all of the residents, and mind you, like I think Robert Taylor alone has something like 30 to 40,000 residents. And they said of all of the CHA buildings, those residents were only pushed to like 9 communities. And there was 9 communities of blight in the first place. Right. But South Shore was like one of the main communities. And I just thought that was an interesting dynamic when you put into perspective how valuable the land in South Shore is. Sure. Specifically when you start thinking about the design of the city where they want to build the Obama Center, the access to the lake. It just was an interesting conversation to me, and specifically to find out that that's where those residents were specifically pushed. Not to say that the Obama Center might have been planned that long ago, but definitely they had plans for that land.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Yeah, for sure. Who's spelling my name wrong on this thing? Dr. Omari Cartman. Y'all funny.
Yeah, I tried to do it on the fly and I clearly just messed it up. I got you.
It's cool.
Let me see if we can't get that proper. But
nah, it's cool. I know who I am.
Real quick though, Barry, you engaged in black mental health for sure, specifically black male mental health, man. And it seems like everywhere we turn, we're always hearing how, you know, black men are kind of the bane of black existence in America today. And I just kind of want to hear your perspective on that. Like, what's wrong with black men, man? What's wrong with us? Or is there something wrong with us at all?
I mean, it's complicated. You know what I mean? It's both and. It's yes and no.
Did we just lose him? I think he just froze for a second.
Same time. Just go to another.
We losing you just a bit there, Obari. I don't know if it's the South Shore Wi-Fi or what.
Probably the South Shore Wi-Fi.
You a hater. You from 95th. Don't even start.
They did all the CHA residents wrong. I'm sure they didn't give them effective Wi-Fi.
You such a hater. You are such a hater, man.
You are such a hater.
Can you hear me?
Okay, yeah, we got you
You
back.
back in now.
Yeah, we got you
We
back.
missed that entire
Yeah,
answer.
What
yeah,
happened?
we
What
hear nothing
happened?
about what nothing.
Can you hear us?
Okay, it's the CIA. People follow me.
Yeah.
I can hear you. Yeah. Let me
All
do
right, cool.
this.
So what
I'm
was
on
your
my
response to
Wi-Fi
that?
from the house. I got that good old Southside Wi-Fi. Let me call you from my phone. It might be better.
All right, cool. Well, just pop back in from there. That'll work.
Yeah.
All right, love.
So we're gonna let Abari get himself situated and figure out what's going on with the Wi-Fi piece. But yeah, very very interesting conversation.
Even if he uses his phone, he still realizes he's on South Shore. He's in South Shore, though, right?
Hey, maybe he's gonna use like 5G or
The
something. Maybe
world
he's
is
not
just
going
trying to convince y'all to know that there's no such thing as an East Side. But it is what it is, you know.
It's over East. It ain't the East Side. It's over East. But we say East Side crazy though.
Okay, whatever. Salute. Boosie says the CIA. I wouldn't doubt it.
Yeah, the CIA man.
They probably are over East. That makes a lot of sense. I'm just saying. No, but on a whole nother note.
get on my nerve,
But on a whole nother note, though, this documentary I was checking out yesterday was very interesting, bro. When they start talking about, city development in general. And when you hear that, just Robert Taylor alone had 30,000 residents, G.
Oh yeah,
Like,
easy, dog.
I mean, I grew up with Robert Taylor across the street from my grammar school all my life, right? But contextually,
oh no, they kept y'all Beasley Bees
But I was a different
insulated
kind
from the Taylors.
Yeah, but I was a different
Don't
kind
y'all
of kid.
cross the street when them kids is coming into school, and don't cross the street when them kids coming out of
I
school.
don't disagree with you, but I was a different kind of kid, and I got in trouble all the time, so I ended up having to take the State Street bus. So I wasn't all that insulated. They wouldn't let me on the school bus. But, you think about it, and I've been next to the Robert Taylor, been in and out the Robert Taylors all my life, but contextually as a kid, 30,000 people is a lot of people, G.
Do it. It's simple math, and I do it a lot because I'm from over east, and from over east, there's a lot of like apartment buildings and stuff like that. And so we usually talk about in the context of like parking. It's real hard to find parking over east. If you're from over east, if you grew up over east, started driving over east, you can probably parallel park your tail
Only
off.
if you kind of like north of like what 71st.
Yeah, like south of 71st, you get into
good money.
or like south of 71st, you'll get into like homes and stuff like that, right?
Dope cribs too.
Yeah. Or south of 73rd or so, depending on where you are.
That's
But
true too.
Yeah,
Depending on where you are.
If you
go is more apartments. That's true.
Yeah, if like so, but either way, you look on one of those blocks. Like I grew up on 69th in Paxton and 67th in Ridgeland. You grew up you on one of those blocks. I could see. I don't know.
It is
a few thousand people living just on one of those
That's
blocks.
true.
Easy.
It is crazy over there.
I think about the buildings. The building I lived in on 69th in Paxton was humongous, like absolutely huge. It was 6 units per entrance, and it had at least 6 entrances. So there were at least 36 units in this particular building, right? And I don't know how many people lived. Hell, in my house, it was 6 people at least lived in my house all the time, right? And so
average black house.
yeah, so let's just say 5 people in all 36 of them units.
No. I'm saying the average black house is probably 6 to 8.
Yeah, but I agree with you, right? But if we just say 5, you know what I'm saying? 30 times 5, you got 150. You got 1,500 people right there, plus another 3 times 6, another 180 people. So you got 1,680 people minimum living in one building on that block. The rest of the block is full of buildings too, and some of them got more than 36 units.
That's crazy.
So you can approach 10,000 on a block over east. That's just the reality of it. So you learn how to park real well. So you talk about the Robert Taylor homes, you definitely getting into a space where you could potentially be dealing with. How many people you said lived over there?
I think it said between 30 and 40,000.
Yeah, easily. I can see that.
That's crazy.
That's bananas, but I can certainly see
That's a
it.
city, G.
Yeah, that's a city. We got Abari pop back in, so we'll see if his Wi-Fi is able to withstand. He back in the building. So the last thing we was trying to get from you was Two's question about black men specifically,
And
and
being the bane of black existence.
Yeah.
Everywhere you turn, trust black women. Forget the black men. I just think it's an interesting world that we're moving into.
I feel you on that piece.
Yeah, no, it's a lot. It's a lot happening for sure. And for me, the answer is, it's a both and. It's a yes and a no. That there's ways in which we've been damaged, we've been traumatized for generations, and ways that I feel like we as men need to do better. So all of that's happening at the same time. One of the topics Herb put in the Instagram that we're gonna talk about was responsibility, Black men, health, and responsibility. And I think that's something that's real important for us because we get real like whiny sometimes, man. And there's a lot to complain about. A lot's happened to us. Like I ain't want to deny none of that. I do a lot of work with Cam and then Cobra talking about reparations, and I
Yeah.
think that it's important to make the argument that we've been damaged at the DNA level. You know what I'm saying? Like in our blood and our
Mm.
bones, that there's harm that's been passed down from generation to generation, and there's never a moment when there was a moment of reprieve. That there was never no offering of peace or healing to turn over the things that happened to us as a people. So all of that's true, right? And at the same time, I believe very firmly that we as African people, descendants of the most powerful people on the planet, also have inherited brilliance in our DNA and power in our DNA. And so there's something
Agreed.
about black men in particular that sit in this in between space, particularly in the context of American politics, where there's clear hierarchies. You know what I'm saying? White over black, man over woman. You know what I'm saying? Straight over gay. There's these rich over poor. That there's these the structure is designed to benefit certain people, populations, and we as black men find ourselves in the in between. On the one hand, I do believe there are certain privileges that men have, and certain things that black men in particular have had unique damage and attack. And so all
Hmm.
of that's happened at the same time. We gotta unpack it. We gotta swirl it around. We gotta wrestle with what is it, where is it, where we need to call for improvement and to improve on our strength and to hold each other more accountable. And where's the places where we need to understand the space and the patience for compassion and healing. I don't even like to use the word victim, because when you say victim, there's a sense that, like, if we talk in warfare language, right? If the victims of war are the women and the children, the people in the village. But if we talk in warfare where we got powerful agents battling each other,
Hmm.
then as men we got to consider ourselves powerful enough to fight back, not just victims of it. We always talk about what they did to us.
Right.
We can talk about Black History Month. A lot of people are ashamed of Black history because we've been telling these slave stories all the time, and we getting our ass kicked, and the whole hum and the yes sirs and the lynching. We like to in attempts to show us what happened, to never forget, like a 911, like a Holocaust. We want to never forget the traumas, but we do it in a way that just makes white people look so much more powerful than they are. And
Hmm.
it does us a disservice. Like this subtle damage that does to us, that we feel like we don't have no agency, we don't have no responsibility, no control. So what I'm saying, there's reasons we can explain with fatherlessness and the gun violence and the carjackings, whatever it is,
True.
however it's gonna manifest in the new generation.
Right.
I can explain what happened to these kids, what happened
Right.
to these men, why they not in place, the policies and all that kind of stuff. And there's a secret, subtle power that only us have. That,
Hmm.
like, we got to activate that shit. Man. We got to come together. We got to Voltron it. We got to collaborate. We got to meditate. Do whatever, if it's yoga, if it's prayer, whatever it is. We got to activate that brilliance in our DNA and not continue to invoke the trauma.
You
I
see
think we could
Raymond
do a
messing
lot
with you.
better as a people if we do that.
No, I feel you 100%, and I think that we need
What happened? What I'm talking about?
no. Well, somebody is in the comments. Good brother Raymond. He said I can sense the pushback coming. Two pushback against anything. You could be like, "Hey, two, think you a nice dude." Yeah, I got a little pushback for that though. So they just said I can sense the pushback coming. But before
Well, since you made the introduction,
go ahead and push back, and then I'll tell you why I agree.
no, it's not that I disagree, right? But
Now,
just
do the
pushing
pushback first. I like pushback. I love pushback.
if we can inherit in our DNA power and brilliance, then we can also inherit in our DNA failure and ignorance,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I always
Yeah.
make this analogy that, if you keep pouring cream in the coffee, eventually you no longer have coffee.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And I think that's the place we are in the lexicon, in my personal opinion. Now, be clear, it's nuance in this conversation, even in the statement that I'm making,
Sure.
right? Because I'm a black man and I believe in myself. You know what I mean? So I do believe that there's a community of us that exist that are pushing forth in the efforts of the group and of the whole in a progressive way. But I also think that we have to be honest about our situation and the paradigm in which we find ourselves in. And I think, just like you said, we can, in our DNA, we've inherited this brilliance and this power. I also think that we've kind of laid on our laurels and began to inherit this kind of failure and ignorance. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I often quote Amos Wilson, and Amos Wilson says that, manhood isn't innate, right? It's
Right.
something that you have to achieve. It's
Right.
something you must earn.
Right.
And in earning that, what he says is you have to become a master of the society in which you inherit.
Mm-hmm.
I think we've been lulled to sleep, and we don't want to master the society anymore. We just want to place in it.
It's hard.
And that changes the context of our understanding of our position in America and what we value about blackness in itself. That's just me.
I agree with that too. So
let me say something on that though.
Go ahead.
So like, even the idea of inheriting ignorance is hard for me.
Okay.
Because ignorance is a learned behavior. That's a byproduct of a environment. So most of the time, I'm interacting with people. I do a lot of work with the boys. I spend a lot of time juvenile detention centers, high schools, residentials, wherever I'm at. I spend a lot of time with these young boys. Over and over again, the experience that I have when I present them with a piece of information is they say, I didn't know that. Nobody ever told me that before. I was completely unaware. That's not in their DNA. That's in their environment. That's in their house, in their school, in these systems that are created to keep them at a certain place. Ignorance can be fixed. When you talk about something that's inherited, you talk about something that's like that's you talking about the makeup of a person. But ignorance specifically is something that is our responsibility as those of us that know to teach those of us that don't know, especially if we know that we in a part of structures that are designed to keep certain of us from not knowing. That knowledge, that information, that knowledge of self and of others and of community and values, all that. If we know that they don't got that, that's on us. I can't blame no politician for that. I can't and nor can I blame your DNA for that. That's a structural, societal, community.
Yeah, that's more nurture than nature for sure.
I don't disagree. I'm not arguing how we got there. I'm just saying where we are. Right?
Okay.
I think I don't want us to have different conversations. Right. It's not that I disagree with you at all. I just think this is where we are, though.
Yeah, I think that, for me, I think we need not look any further than the fact that we have been under attack in such a fierce onslaught, never-ending attack since we've been here. And I think that in and of itself is proof positive enough for me to say we got to be pretty darn special. Right? For y'all to be cheating us this hard, for y'all to be coming at us this hard, we got to be pretty special. Like, y'all got to fear us in a way that's like, man, if we don't keep our foot on their throat, they will dominate everything around here. And I think that it is a tragedy that everybody else is able to see that brilliance and that greatness within us except for us. Like, you don't cheat a person that you can beat fair and square. You don't cheat on a test that you already know the answers to. You only cheat a person if you don't think you can beat them fair and square. And so if they know that, we should know that too. And if we don't know it for any other reason, know it because they're cheating you.
I'm with both of y'all's answers. I'm not disagreeing with neither of you. But I guess the question I would have, though, is when you start thinking about the level of capitulation, it's like, at what point does victimhood transform to volunteerism?
Good question. Let's pause it right there, man. We got to take a quick break. When we come back from break, we will jump deeper into this conversation as well. Obari, I gotta run something by you, brother. First of all, I'm absolutely thrilled that you are here. And when we let people know that you were here, I received a message. I won't even call it information because information needs to be accurate, right? I don't know, but it was certainly something that I thought was worth running by you, and it was something that you said you would not mind addressing. I thought it was a serious enough issue to at least run by you and have that conversation. I want to have it very, very briefly. Won't spend much time on it, but I will run that by you on the other side of the break. Dr. Obari Carmen is joining us live on I Say What I Say. My name is Herb. His name is Tu. We'll be right back.
The Chicago Legal Network is the collaboration of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of the law most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. The CLN lawyers all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation. So if you were injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information or call 773-912-3545. 773-912-3545.
I'm blessed.
Church Chicago's Power Hour. I'm your host, Angie Mims, and
Terrence Keys, TD, a.k.a. Terrence Daniels.
You got an inspirational word for today?
Oh, man, I'll be honored. Giving honor to God. Hey, man, on Sunday morning it's early, so we got to give honor to God.
Yes, sir.
The good word for today is don't worry.
Mm-hmm.
Oftentimes in our life, in our walk, in our days, in our journeys, we find a way to just worry about so many things. And we just want to encourage you today that those worries is God's responsibility. It's God's responsibility, because at the end of the day, what we worry about most times we can't handle.
Yes.
And we would agree together, we can't handle it, so we have to give it to God. That's his responsibility. And our job is to simply believe.
Yes.
Simply believe. When we believe, the Bible says all things are possible.
Come on through here.
I better leave that alone. I feel my
Preaching already.
You feel it?
seed coming.
So be anxious for nothing. Even the Bible says don't worry about anything. In Matthew 6:33 it says don't worry about anything, but seek ye first the kingdom of God and his righteousness, and all these other things be added unto you. So we're here to encourage you.
WISTV PM.
Hey, I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. I pray we don't get lost in all our sorrow. I say I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. We don't know if we gon' let us see tomorrow. No. 52 wounded, 10 murdered in a weekend. Homicides on women are increasing. 12 blinking at us for no reason. Feel like we going off the deep end. They still ain't found Kierico. Reported missing about a year ago. And she was pregnant with a little one. Her family praying for a miracle. Taxi V and Kanika ain't get no justice. Where the energy they have for Jussie Smollett? I done heard every theory, but where the suspects? Ain't no luck, yeah. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. I pray we don't get lost in all our sorrow. I say I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. We don't know if we gon' let us see tomorrow. No. Woman found dead, baby cut out of a womb. I wish it wasn't true. Another woman shot down while her baby in her arms. Can somebody call a truce? This is genocide, honestly. We still remember Tyshawn Lee. I'm implementing new policies. Trying to save the generation under me.
What is happening? What is happening, family? Welcome back. Welcome back. We are live from the What's in It for the Black People Media Studios alongside Toussaint Warner. My name is Herb Howard. This is I Said What I Said. Behind the glass doing all of the hard work in the production studio is the good brother Flo. Appreciate y'all so much for choosing to be a part of this conversation. We are joined by Dr. Obari Carmen from We're Men Charities, from the Quarry as well. Look like Obari is back to having these Wi-Fi issues. I'm looking at him on my screen, but he's froze, so ain't no point in me popping him on the main screen. Don't start talking about the Wi-Fi over East. Anyhow, that was Corporate. Good brother Corporate on that last track. Wasn't it, Flo? Yeah?
Yeah, super dope, man. Super dope record.
I don't know about that.
People don't. No, I like the record. I like the record a lot. I do like the record. Corporate can really rap, G.
No, Corporate can spit.
Yeah, he can really rap.
Corporate can rap. He can spit. I don't know if I like the song that much. That's all I'm saying.
I like it.
I got
Contextually,
Jay-Z songs I don't like. You know what I'm saying?
But contextually, I get it.
Oh no, it's deep, it's dope, it's fire. All I'm saying is like Corporate got a lot of heat where he's spazzing, and I get it. That one will probably do better on radio than some of the tracks where he's really putting words together and spazzing. So I get it from a marketing standpoint. But I've heard better songs from Corporate. That's all I'm saying. But I did like it. He was talking that talk because he always talked that talk.
Yeah, I get it. He's underrated too. People don't even recognize him for his music, and I think it's time that they do.
Yeah, people recognize him for Chicago Be Like, which is
hilarious.
I understand it. It's absolutely hilarious. They done he's up close to like 100 of those now, 100 episodes of Chicago Be Like, and they funny. So I get people recognizing. I remember I was at the gas station on 60. What is that? Like on 70th and Stony Island. It's a little shell right there. And I'm coming out the gas station, and he's like coming in, and these shorties run up on him, and it was like so cold. Like these shorties was so happy to see him. It was like, oh, cornbread. They run up on him, and he was so gracious. He stopped and took some pictures and hung out. You know, he was just chilling. You know what I'm saying? Like he just runs to the gas station, having a little t-shirt and some sweatpants or something. But the shorties was charged up to see him, and it was a real cool thing to see him, man. And,
He's a good kid,
yeah,
man.
yeah.
And it's amazing to see
time and
how
hung out with him.
internet celebrity is
it's a real
the
thing,
real
dog.
deal to them.
It's different.
They'd go crazy. They'd be more geeked over corporate than they would be over Kanye.
Yeah, and personally, I'm cool with that. I actually like that.
I think it's interesting.
I actually like that you would be more excited about the dude who still lives where you live, that you can actually see on a random trip to the gas station or something like that, than some dude that you'll never ever see who, you know, had a whole raw line about, you know, so I promised to Mr. Rainey I'm gonna marry your daughter, but you wouldn't marry. Okay, anyway, I digress. Anyway, man, let's pop Dr. Cartman back on the screen because y'all what?
Look
What
at
you got,
Carl
man?
Winslow again, man.
Carl Winslow,
Steady talking trash to me, man.
Two
Carl
writing his
Winslow
pushback notes. Well, it is the perfect. Wait, so I didn't know who that. I didn't know who you was talking about the whole time. Oh my god,
It's Carl Winslow, man.
that is funny. Okay, that is I missed that part the whole time. But anyway, nonetheless, pushback or not, you and Obari were in the middle of a bit of a good exchange where y'all was kind of going back and forth about this idea of, you know, the origins, if you will, of some of these
Really,
black
it's
issues.
just, when does victimhood become volunteerism? You know, I just think, again, going back to the Amos Wilson quote, to fully master or to fully move into manhood, you got to master the environment in which you inherited.
Mm-hmm.
And for me, the environment that we've inherited only leaves us really one resolve, and that's revolution. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not saying we're not on the same page in regards to that, but I just having a dialogue, really. I'm just, you know, let's explore every angle of this conversation. That's
Well,
all.
I'm looking forward to y'all hopping in this conversation. Dr. Audrey Tanksley is in the building as well. Shout out to Dr. Tanksley. Make sure y'all check out Inhale Exhale every Sunday right here on What's in It for the Black People Media. Sundays at 5 p.m. Inhale Exhale. Dr. Audrey will be there. But no, I feel you on that piece. You know, just in terms of when does victim turn into volunteer? We talk about that a lot in a lot of different aspects. We talk about it in domestic violence. We talk about it in systemic oppression. We talk about it in many different aspects, and I think that's a very, very real thing. But I think it's really, really hard to go from victim to even realizing that you have become a volunteer, right? The structured nature of the oppression is such that it happens almost without you even knowing that it's taking place, and you kind of just look up and you swimming in it, and survival becomes paramount to elevate.
The fish in the water analogy. I get it.
Yeah. Dr. Cartman, you back with us, man? Are you froze again?
Yeah, I'm back. Where we at?
Okay, cool.
Can y'all hear me?
Yeah,
Mic
we got
check,
you.
1 2 1 2.
Yeah, we good.
Good.
I'm sorry. I drink a lot of water on the show. I talk too much. I be needing to drink something. You don't be drinking nothing. How do you do that?
You gotta stay hydrated.
Yeah, hydration is key. So anyway, man, Obari, how do you feel? Because over the break, Tu was saying that, you know, if you can inherit brilliance in your DNA, why can't you inherit, I don't know, stupidity or ignorance? I won't say ignorance, because ignorance is a different word, but because sincere ignorance is a thing. But can you inherit like this, just, I don't know, these other characteristics that would prevent you from being a productive member of society?
I think that it's possible. Diallo Kenyatta put this out once a long time ago, that black people could be bred into submission. That if you just get the survivors and you take out the revolutionary warriors, then generation after generation, I do believe there's something to that. That after a while, the people that are left have this quality inside of them that is more likely to just lean towards survival than liberation. I think that's possible. However, the aspect of a characteristic that you could be born with, even let's say addiction, for example, I believe that, you know, there's lots of data on that. You could be born with an addictive gene. It could be passed down in your family. That does not mean that that's a life sentence. That don't mean that you have to succumb to that. Right. It just means that the awareness of that makes you have to be more deliberate about the environments you put yourself in.
Sure.
So if you know that's your thing, then you don't want to play around with somebody that's experimenting. You avoid bars. You avoid places where liquor is going to be.
Casinos,
If
even.
you're trying to casinos, even right.
Yeah.
So even if we inherited a sense of submission or ignorance, if you call it, or whatever it is that we think that happened to us generationally over time, that still does not mean that we cannot strategize and create the kind of environments that invoke the same thing in us, which is also always brilliance. So even if these things are combated inside of us, they could be angels and demons inside of us wrestling. We decide what we feel. We decide what we encourage. And I think that's something that we got to do better at.
Again, not in disagreement, right?
Just a little pushback.
I think it's the yin and yang of our experience. You know what I mean? But I think in order to make that change, you must first acknowledge. It's like, a map, right? You can't pick out a destination if you don't know where you are on the map. You'll never find the route to get there. You know what I mean? So in order to...
First thing you need to find is where we are.
Where we are. Mm-hmm. Let's acknowledge where we are. And where we are is challenging in my mind. You know what I mean? Now, I'm not with the national push to degrade black men. I'm not with that at all.
Right.
I think that's kind of pushing us further and further down the line of our true understanding. And I think that, in a lot of ways, it's creating this kind of, at least this public divide between the genders, this, aiding the oppressor and keeping us in our position. But I also think there's a level of acknowledgement we have to have. You know what I mean? And it goes back to the Amos Wilson quote. Until you've kind of mastered the environment that you've inherited, then you haven't necessarily achieved manhood. And that's in totality, that's a blanketed statement. So in that, I'm under that same blanket. I haven't achieved manhood because we've not mastered this white supremacist system in regards to taking control of it.
That's the only part of the Dr. Amos Wilson piece that I kind of like I don't know about that part, right? When you interpret it as, nobody has still yet achieved it because we haven't conquered this land yet. I think as long as you are intentional and deliberately striving towards that end, I think that you are operating in your proper polarity as a man, right? Success or not, whether we've actually attained it or not, because for that would be to say, to believe that would be to say that, Malcolm X never achieved manhood, or Marcus Garvey never achieved manhood, or even Fred Hampton never achieved manhood, albeit he was 21 years old when they assassinated him, right? But I think that those were absolutely men walking in their proper polarity, even though they weren't able to get to the end line of that goal.
I respect it.
All right.
I think that there's a problem underneath it. I think there's a language issue we coming up to. Anytime we're trying to decipher African liberation using European language, we all gonna get tripped up. When we say master, there's an implication that it comes from a European perspective, which means conquer. So you put conquer on top of master. I don't know if that's always what mastery means from an African point of view. When I think about mastering your environment has a lot more to do with alignment than control. But if I'm thinking about my manhood determines whether or not I can have other, if I switch places while I'm on top and somebody else is on the bottom, I'm assuming that the fundamental nature of the structure has to be capitalism. That's not necessarily true. The environment ain't just a political environment, economic, social. You could argue that the environment is much more the natural environment. So to define our manhood by mastering or aligning with the natural environment, including our bodies, including our minds, our spirits, including preserving, the land, all that kind of stuff is a different way of mastering and alignment that if we always just chasing white people's definitions, using their language and concepts, we're going to be confused the whole time.
So, just again, provide the pushback.
Always ready. Always ready.
Bar, I'm telling you, this is what he does.
I see it.
I know you love it.
I love this
We can do it forever. I see it.
These are the kind of conversations we got to have. You know what I mean? And I'm with Obari and what he's saying from, again, I always bring this up whenever we on here. Like I said, there's for me, at least, there's two schools of thought that I have to align myself with. One is this kind of spiritual alignment that in my soul of soul, I fully believe I want to be in alignment with, right? But then there's this reality of I am in this capitalist system and I must deal with it in the ways that it presents itself.
Right.
You know what I mean?
So how do you then conquer a given environment while also trying to survive within said environment, right? So if you're trying to conquer it, change it, and make it something else, How do you do that while you're simultaneously like, man, I got to find my way to survive within it as well?
I think from a spiritual standpoint, that's that external versus internal kind of conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Internally, I'm trying to be whole. That's my spiritual thing.
Mm-hmm.
You know, right? But capitalism's effects externally fuck with me. Here's my dollar. So capital has an external effect on my life, right? Am I able to keep my wife and my children, and can they go to XYZ school? I don't care how whole you are. Your spiritual alignment is not going to affect those realities or those results. You got to deal with the system in which you've inherited. So in that vein, if we saying, being in alignment could be with nature, it could be with, all of the other the things that Barbie leveraged. Let's just go back to the data.
Right.
The data says we die earlier than anybody else.
Right.
The data says we dealing with these kind of ailments more than anybody else. The
Right.
data says we got levels of obesity. So we're not there either. But not being there spiritually, in my mind, is a response to the effects and stresses that capitalism is putting on us as being on the bottom. So to me, even if we're going to align ourselves spiritually, then we must do something about capitalism, because it's just because you've decided that you don't want to fight the bully no more don't mean the bully ain't said he gonna stop whooping your ass.
Right. That's real.
Put it in.
Another buck. Before we hop in, hold on, Obar. Before you come with some, before you respond to that, I just want to hit a couple of comments real fast. One, these things are moving quick. One came in from, I don't know where it came from, but it said that the solution was you must become the greatest capitalist, right, in that system. Raymond said become the greatest capitalist when I'm talking about how do you operate in that thing. But also, Salim says we've been deeply socialized for subservience. It requires sufficient cultural capital to challenge that socialization process. Salim also says that I like Dr. Carmen's distinction of mastery.
I get it. I'm with it. Yeah. I would expect Salim to say that.
I would expect Salim to say that, but it goes to the conversation I told you I was listening to on Salim's show earlier in Milwaukee.
I'm not saying I don't agree with Obari. I'm just giving the nuance, right? We're just having this back and forth dialogue.
It's necessary.
Because my honest depiction is I know how evil and detrimental capitalism is. I talk about it all the time, but we still here.
Right. I hear you, Dr. Carmen.
I mean, we still here, kinda. It's crumbling we watching this shit fall right now.
Yeah.
And if we're not in place to have something to replace it with, then we just always gonna be responding to somebody else's shit. I believe that there is a relationship between the spiritual alignment and it manifesting in the material world. I don't think when I say spirituality, I don't mean candles and chanting. I mean action. I mean like invoking just on some Haitian revolution type shit, invoking those deities to enhance the power to actually go right. So it's not they're not two separate worlds for me. I think that we got to bring those worlds into one because they're overlapping, they're intersecting in ways that part of the capitalism requires us to do is to compartmentalize things, and that is how we stay stuck. I think we need to think more about alignment all together, language, concepts, all of it. And as long as they got us thinking that we got to respond to them or say that we're gonna do a better system than what they've created, I think we can do something completely from scratch.
Yeah.
And it don't have to be in response to what America did or didn't do. We need to go back to what we already did before America was even a thought in somebody's mind to tap into that kind of power. We can invoke that, and then it manifests itself in the material world. So in that, I believe there's a direction. I think there's an order, a sequence, and the sequence for me first is go to self, go to community, go to culture, and then create something that is good for our children. If we always behind somebody, that's how they win. It's because they got us responding to them all the time.
I'm glad you mentioned this idea of sequence in terms of sequential steps of what should come first, what should come second. Shout out to my auntie Donna. Hey auntie. When you talk about trying to get to this space of creating something completely different, what should we do first? Should we be focused on trying to appeal to the masses of black people to say, hey, all of us need to be on this and try to bring others into the fold who may not be yet aware of some of the issues or may not be yet engaged in overcoming some of those issues? Or would we be better served in just working amongst those who are aware and are engaged and trying to kind of galvanize that group of people and then building on what we can from there and then allowing others to kind of jump on as they see that core groups start to have some success and stack some wins? Is that a better way to go about it, or do we need to go about it from this wider view of let's bring everybody in, everybody move together, and until we get to that point, we can't really move?
I think that if we can figure out the unity issue, and not like all everybody agreeing, but more strategic collaborations, we wouldn't have to figure that out. That question you ask assumes that we're not working on the same thing with different committees. I think there needs to be somebody on all ends of this. Needs somebody zeroing in on creating new institutions and somebody infiltrating. Somebody needs to be thinking about mass media. Somebody thinking about creating your own, program. Y'all got your own shit right now, right? And there needs to be somebody on GCI or YouTube or whatever it is. I think all of it needs to be happening at the same time. The problem is we're not connected to each other. So I think that's what happens first, is that we figure out some institutional infrastructure, some value system, something needs to happen to make us all understand that we in this together. So that whatever you're passionate about, whatever you feel called to, you can do that fully, and it still be moving us forward because we're doing that at the same pace.
I dig it.
I like that as well.
Yeah.
Right? But going back to the conversation of
But
capitalism.
come on now.
Oh, you knew the boat was coming. You can believe that.
Yeah, just going back to the conversation of capitalism, I would ask, like, what is our unifier, right? What is the one value asset that we all share? Like, when you start thinking about culture, we have a conversation around identity as well, man. And even around that, you mentioned, a few sentences earlier that you're working with Cam around, what's the name in Cobra?
Right.
Within Cobra, right? With reparations. And I love Cam, and I rock with some of Cam's ideas, but then, there's new information emerging, and you got
Love Cam. I'm just ADOS.
and you get the ADOS conversation. Yeah. And instead of this kind of unified, how do we find alignment, it becomes conflictual. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? And that conflictual conversation, again, in my mind, resonates in what our real true value set is, which is what? Alignment with the capitalist system. You know what I mean? And that's when I said, at what point does violent victimhood become volunteerism? We've assimilated into the scarcity mentality of the white Western world.
No, that's real.
So how do you build a community around people who don't even have the same ideological understanding?
So that is a point that Alvin just made. Alvin, who is generally one of our 2 or 3 resident comedians, but he says we can only bring together those who are on code, same or similar interests, right? And it's hard to get others involved. It's hard. I think it's not a good use of our energy in that way, right? To like, man, we got to get the man. Listen, what we got to do is build. And when they see us building, they'll either jump on or they won't. People like to play for a winning team. We don't have a winning team right now, but if we can start to stack some wins, that team becomes more attractive to other people. And so, as opposed to spending our time trying to convince people that this is what they need to be doing, let's just do it, right? And they'll either jump on or they won't.
And I just want to say this, right? I'm with a Barbie in regards to the sense of alignment, and I'm with the people. Period, right? Y'all say we're going to play baseball to be victorious. That's what the fuck I'm going to do. I'm going to play some baseball, right? Here's my $1.
Hi, Buck.
But
Shine is loving the curse
have a back and forth banter because it makes us flush out the what's wrong or what's right about the context of the conversation, right? And I don't see capitalism as being insurmountable. I don't, right? I had that conversation all the time. I even talk about it in the context of the King conversation when he said, I have a dream, and we kind of put all our interest into that conversation. But the context for me means that the dream is without limitations. We can move beyond this system. This system is not the definitive. There were systems that existed before this. But because we are so wrapped into this kind of assimilated scarcity mentality,
right,
we can't see past it. So last week, we get the stock market, whatever you want to call that, right? Where the powers that be legitimately said, hey, poor people, we're taking this opportunity away from you. Like, legitimately said that.
You thought you won? No, you didn't.
Right.
Shut
That's
up.
how this power really works. And
Right.
instead of responding in a revolutionary way, what do? We stop pushing our money to, well, we could go to Bitcoin, as if the same people who don't own them GameStop stocks don't own them Bitcoin stocks.
Yeah.
Like, it's insanity to me. But I'm here to listen.
No, I feel you. Dr. Carmen, I appreciate that whatever you was trying to do, but you like sideways to us right now. You like this.
I can't hear y'all no more. I don't even know where y'all screen went.
You don't hear us or see us no more? That's unfortunate. That is unfortunate, Dr. Carmen. We can see you, but you sound. Stop hating on the East Side. Hey, you know what? I recently watched that movie, man, and I really like Morgan Freeman, and I like Mr. Clark. I've always have, but I don't like him as much as I used to. Now, I don't know when the last time I seen the movie, but this last time I was watching the movie, that dude was an asshole. And I didn't like him at all. Like, he was unnecessarily just a jerk, dude. Like that part specifically. He catches the dudes in the bathroom. He make them sing the school song. They blow it out the water. They go crazy singing the song. In your heart of hearts, you love it. But because you are who you are, you just got to be a jerk. So you walk into this lady's classroom, interrupt her lesson, go off on her for no reason, just so you can tell her that she rewrote the school song. Fam, just say, you know what? I just heard the new thing in the bathroom. That thing is cold. You rewrote it. You the stuff out here. Why did you have to just be a jerk for no walking there? Now you done made this lady humble herself. You going up her in front of her like, who told you to do that? Who told you to do that? She like, nobody. And grown woman, you yelling at her like that for no doggone reason, just to say that you like what she did. Don't be a jerk for no reason, man.
Trigger, bro?
Yeah, I was pissed. I ain't gonna lie to you. I didn't like it at all. Because usually I like the movie and I like him. I'm like, oh, this. But nah, man. That like, don't just be a jerk for no reason. I don't like that. It rubbed me the wrong way when I saw that recently. Sorry, I digress. Yeah, for real. Looks like we got Dr. Carbon back in on the line, and he is no longer sideways. Dr. Carbon, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, cool. We can hear you as well. Hey, is it your sister's birthday today?
It is my sister's birthday. That's weird. Thanks.
Yeah, happy birthday to her. So I follow your other sister, and she posted a happy birthday post to her or something like that.
True.
And so I saw
Jamila.
It. Yeah. So anyway, that was random as heck, but it just crossed my mind.
That's heck.
That's good. It's beautiful. I'm gonna tell you, said happy birthday.
Yeah, that's. She was like, who? Why? For what? But anyway,
what?
What was we at in the conversation, man? I forgot. I went off on Joe Clark, and I don't know where we are.
Barbie just telling me where I was wrong at. That's all. I'm just.
Hey, I ain't gonna. Obari's winning this right now. I'm not gonna lie.
I'm not.
Just push back and forth.
I'm not fighting. I'm just giving a different perspective. It's a difference.
Okay, cool.
It's a difference. I'm in alignment with most of what Obari's saying, but I just want us to see the other perspective, right? I think again, we kind of had these conversations.
Sending you a hug.
Even the people we talk to, let's be keep it a buck. All of us has been granted the opportunity to have these conversations. We have a wealth of information. We was born above the scratch line. All that kind of stuff plays into us having these kind of conversations, right? But then there's a whole nother group of us who never have these conversations.
True.
But they think differently. So let's explore both of those concepts. That's all I'm saying.
I feel you.
I'm with that.
I feel that's cool, and I think it's always necessary to just come at these things from different perspectives. I think the truth is going to be found, through constant dialogue, different perspectives, everybody giving their opinion, respecting other people's opinion, but being passionate about your own. That's perfectly fine.
In the YouTube comments, Mahadi Soulful says, if somebody's trying to save your life, it might seem like they're being a jerk, but he just demanded change. He's talking about Joe Clark.
Yeah.
But same thing is happening in the dialogue between me and Barbara.
No, I understand
I'm not trying to be a jerk, but this is, let's put it in perspective.
No, I understand the overall mission of Joe Clark and the tough love that he was giving. I understood it, right? I watched the movie. I like it, right? I'm just saying there are certain instances, the one I gave specifically, of him just being a jerk for no reason. What was tough love about you going up on that lady in the middle of her classroom in front of all her students? What to what end was that? That's all I'm saying. It was that part specifically that just was unnecessary. Unnecessary. That's all I'm saying.
Not my place.
Start calling you Joe Clark.
Perspective.
To Clark.
Whatever. So, Obari, what can we do, man?
Speaking of truth,
what brothers gonna do?
Hold on, I want to bring up.
You want to do what?
Hold on, let me talk about something real quick. Let me change the subject real quick.
Sure, what's up?
I want to share an appreciation for you brothers for continuing with this program. I'm aware that there's some chatter over my name on it floating around the chaos of the internet, and that people respond to it different. You know what I'm saying? When you put the flyer out saying we on this interview, that like you did what I expect brothers to do, what I expect men to do, really, and not get into the chit chat or hearsay on some cafeteria shit, but like on some grown man shit. Like somebody sent me this, I heard this about you. It was troubling to me. Let's talk about it. So I want to express my gratitude for you coming at it that way, because everybody don't. There's people that I would have considered brothers that have not responded in the same way. They're just like folded under the pressure of the accusation. And I just want to address it. I just wanted to say, what I'm saying, just just real quick to tell you, because this might be your first time even hearing about it. I don't know,
Yeah, no. So
who people know or what people know about.
I'll say this, man. That was the absolute first I had heard about it. You and I have known each other for, probably a handful of years at this point, just doing stuff around the community and seeing each other at different places. I'm over at the Quarry ever so often, and y'all always out in the community. And so all I know about you is a brother who loves Black people, who is focused on Black health, mental, physical, spiritual, who's doing things and investing in the community in a way. That is what I know you to be. And so I wanted to have the conversation with you on those things on the show. And then when we put the flyer out, we got back some correspondence from people about these issues and concerns that they raised, and they were serious enough for me to say, well, first of all, I don't know nothing about it, number one, but second of all, I'm not going to just like go on with it. Let me send this to Obari and let him know what it just came to me, and ask him if he wants to address it, because it was something from, I saw dates 2, 3, 4 years ago, and so you could have been like, man, asked and answered, I'm done with it. But you was like, no, I'm willing to address it, and so no, I'm never gonna handle it like that. I'm not. That's just not who I am. I've lived life. I've been in situations. I've had things said on my name before that was less than accurate, and so I understand it. And I wasn't gonna handle it that way. I certainly wasn't gonna reschedule or cancel your appearance on the show. Hell no, that ain't how we gonna move, right? I'm gonna bring it to you. I also wasn't just gonna keep it to myself like it wasn't sent to me either. I was gonna tell you like, hey, this came to me. So that's the way I did it, and I appreciate the way you responded to it, man. So if you want to speak on it, feel free, my brother.
No, we can speak on it for sure. I mean, so part of my work is very personal. You know what I mean? This ain't no professional work. My work as a healer, as a therapist, as an educator, as a writer. I've always been very, very transparent in my work. I don't really do the distinctions between clients and healers like that. We just people on the journey trying to figure shit out together. I don't even use a doctor a lot. Like I downplay the so-called academic expertise, because my concept of what healing is really just about connecting from person to person, particularly man to man, as authentic as possible. So because of that, transparency is a part of the work. Everybody read I wrote a book. I only got one book out, and the book was as personal as any book I've ever seen anybody write. And when I think about, we talked about responsibility earlier, I always lean towards, if something come up, if there's an issue, if there's harm done, I always zero in on what I did, my contribution to that, my personal accountability. I never liked when men just go into the victim or the volunteer of it, just the whininess, the like complaining, this is women ain't shit, you can't trust them, and start dogging them like the Umar Johnson kind of style, just calling a scallywag. Like that ain't never been my approach to this. My approach is always, if my name is in it, if something happened, let me first look at who I am, what I did, how I contributed to it, how I can learn from it, how I can grow, and more importantly, how I can use that to create space for other men to do that work for themselves. Yeah. And so because of that, people know things about me, and a lot of times they come back to me like, man, I heard this about you. And I'll be like, yeah, I know I said that. Like I put that out there. That was me saying that. Right. There was an accusation about me raping somebody from 2015, no, 2005, about 15, it was a bunch of years ago, back in Atlanta. And so people would come to me whispering like, man, I heard some girl accuse you of raping in Atlanta. And I'm like, yeah, that's on page 15 of my book. Like I wrote that. Like I described the whole thing, said who it was, I said what happened with the process, told my response to it. So when you say you want to talk about it, like I love talking about it. Like it's difficult, it's frustrating sometimes, but like I love the uncomfortableness of these kind of conversations, because it's easier to just pretend like everything's perfect. Like I think a lot of men get off on the pandering, on this, to saying the right thing, wearing the right T-shirt, putting the right hashtags, protect Black women. I think men can get off on that, and it don't really actually do no good for us. It don't actually protect women to have men just pretending to look like the good guy. I think there's a lot of pressure to look like a good guy these days. And I think that we need to do more work to actually be good guys. And in that work, it's muck and mire. It's difficult. It's like, I fucked up sometimes. I did this. I know that. Like, and those are conversations I love to have. So if you read my blogs, if you read my book, if you follow my work, like you will know that the transparency and my own personal testimony is central to what I think is needed for us as men to give to other men, to demonstrate for younger men. I got sons. I want my sons to know, what I'm saying? This is my dad, I don't want nobody come to my son and say, "This is what I heard."
Right.
Did you know this about him? I want
Right.
everybody in my life to, yeah, I know he been saying that shit for years.
Right.
So this is that. This is that kind of situation. It's hearsay that turned into, you know what I'm saying, venom that collaborated with the internet that turned into a coalition of people that were trying to stop me. Really, they were trying to bring me down, and they were saying that it was a fraudulent, that they said I was a criminal, and said I raped men and women all over the country. There's a petition that got just real ugly and it's all full of lies. None of it's true. But
You know
like,
somebody named DJ?
You don't need in the internet world.
Let me
Huh?
stop. I'm sorry. It was poor timing for a terrible joke. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Okay. I'm sure it's hilarious. I'm sure
it is. I promise you it's hilarious. But I'll tell it to you later. Don't worry about it. Some of the people here know what I'm talking
so
about.
that was it. It was a couple years ago. It was, chat on the internet, and my response to it was very much like, "Yeah, I know about it. This is what happened. This is my contribution to it." I'm so, I say good, maybe even bad at being transparent that like I put stuff out there that people read as like me admitting fault. So people read some things that I say, like, "Oh yeah, he's he a trash dude because he talk about cheating on girls before. He talk about lying, all this kind of other stuff." But then it gets conflated with these accusations, and people just have this conception of me without ever actually knowing what happened. So what I really needed at the time when the chatter was happening was like a process. So I went to a bunch of people. I went to elders in the community. I went to organizations I was part of, and I was like, I'm not trying to hide from this. I want to use this to talk about it. Let's use this. Like there's a movement, and women are out here, and men need work to do. Let's talk about this. And everybody was afraid to. Like people was like ducking, and they kind of hands off. Like I don't even want nothing to do with it. And so because of that, I ended up having to go to court for it. Like I hated it. Like I hate the first time I ever got a real process was I had to go pay some white dude thousands of dollars to actually like look at the emails, to actually unfold the, what I'm saying, do the dirt, the digging. What people wanted was for me to like, people saying they want me to go to jail for some accusation just because they heard some hearsay. Yeah. And I'm saying like, let's go through a process. Like if it's jail, if it's court, press charges, like whatever it is.
Yeah, we're gonna walk through
the chatter, the chaos was in the actual conversation. So I'm always for the conversation. I'm always for order. I'm always for like a process. Like, I'm always open to that. And I end up having to engage in that doing, I ended up having to sue her for slander. And it just I just hate having to like do that. It's just not even in my character to sick some white man against a black woman. I don't even, but that was the first time, and that was the most disappointing thing about the whole thing is that, people that I considered elders or babbas and mamas and family and all that kind of stuff just was deserted me in a moment when I wasn't asking for support. I wasn't asking people to father flagging me and put pictures next to I didn't even need that. Like I didn't need just fake, false support. I just needed the process. So, so your question, like, do I want to talk about it all the time? I talk about it all the time. I write about it. I think that this is something that we as men need to look at and find out what ways that we do harm and to extract the truth from that, right? And for this case, there's a lot of things that were untrue. There's, they exaggerated and lied and people were saying stuff they didn't know what they were talking about. And that's a part of it too. But part of the strength and the responsibility is for us to look at ourselves and to do our own work and to bring other young men along with into that, into that journey for me. So I'm always open book about it. If I have any questions, I would much prefer that people address me directly so we can have a conversation. I would lay all this out. This is public, public information. Now we in court, like you can probably Google the emails between us, So like, I just think we need to have more open, on the table conversation about all of it. I think the secret shit is causing illusions and confusions and distortions and, too much disagreement.
Real quick, are you all in court now? Is that what you said, Omari?
Yeah, I ended up having to sue her for slander a couple years ago, but it's been dragging because of COVID. And that's the thing. Like, I get why it's hard for men to be accountable and to be as transparent as I am, because those become court documents. That's what's holding it up. And she's been like, her counter is, well, he said this, he apologized for this part of it, and then making it the whole thing. So like, it's much easier to stay quiet. In the beginning of it, they were trying to stop me. I was like, all right, I'll stop. I ain't gonna, I ain't gonna do no public events. I'll stop my work. My work is, when people call me, they call me but like when their kids are broke, when they, sons is committing suicide, that's when they call me. So
Also,
I was ignoring those calls for a long time. People was asking me to be on panels, do radio shows, do programs. I was saying no for about months, and then after a while, I was like, man, I can't not do my work because some people are lying about me. I can't even. The need is too great, and really like the work I do is we talking about spirituality and alignment. Like I made pacts with deities. I made, what I'm saying, I'm doing this work on behalf of Shango and Obaluaye. Like I made promises to people, to entities to continue my work. So at a point in the beginning when I was like, no, I ain't gonna do no more. I could not, like I couldn't rest with that. And so for years, the only time I ever do anytime you see my name on the flyer, any program you see, any grant, any position. Right now, I'm the president of Chicago Associated Black Psychologists. So for a long time, I was like, no, I don't even want the kind of spotlight. But like the elders keep asking me to do work, and then people keep saying that we struggling in this. So I just could not keep saying no when there's a skill set that I got, and there's a passion and there's ability that I got to help people. And so that's what really what dug me out of this whole thing was just continuing to work. And I would do that. And I would know people gonna DM, whatever chatter they know, but I'm just anticipating that's always gonna happen. But at the end of the day, I know what happened. I'm gonna fight for the truth. I'm gonna go through whatever process I got to clear my name. But really more than clear my name, to heal our people. Like I don't want nobody suffering from none of this. I would love for us to have a mediation. It could be public or private, whatever it is. I just want to fix these issues for us.
So real quick, Omari, because I don't want to stay here personally. Did she ever file charges against you in any way, or are you the only one who filed charges at all?
Nobody. She tried to, but they said that's not a thing. So she couldn't even file charges. There's no charges filed, no indictments, no criminal court. It's all chatter. It's all hearsay.
Okay.
There was a point after she realized that I was still doing work, and that's what happens. Like I was doing work, and the part of my work was having conversations about valuing women, and people saw that as a contradiction. What they did not realize is that in that work, what I do is talk about my mistakes, and I talk about lessons learned from when I was shorty, and the things I taught from my father. Like all my work is very transparent, but people won't know it. People think that I'm just doing this fraudulent kind of like make myself look good to hide these other things, but I ain't never been to hide. I've never been secrets. None of this has ever been like under the water. So when that started to happen, there was a woman that said, nah, she was offended by the idea that I was out here doing work to heal when she felt personally offended. So she used that as a momentum to make up all this other stuff and get women to support and corroborate and sign this with a.
So the defamation suit is against some other random woman who felt like you shouldn't be in a position to have these conversations. Not necessarily with the woman who the accuser.
Yeah, no, she wasn't even the girl from Atlanta from 15-some years ago. She wasn't even really involved. She got involved behind the scenes. It get real messy. I probably shouldn't be talking about none of this. My lawyer probably be pissed that I'm even saying any of this right now.
Yes,
but
it's still in litigation.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, man. So you had any follow-up you want to say about it?
I kind of do, but I don't want to have it around the context of this case. I want to have it around the context of the totality of the conversation of black male and black female gender relations, right? And I'm not picking a side in this. This is a court case that's going on. But one of the things that you said when you were just making that statement in totality that you said it's a lot of guys out here pretending to be the good guy, wearing the right T-shirt, etc. And I don't have any idea of why anybody would be trying to put slander on your name. But there was a conversation that we just had 2 days ago. And it was about the public accusations that are being made right now about T.I. and Tiny. And in the context of Obari saying pretending to be the good guy, wearing the right T-shirt, etc., I have to ask, is that about the transactional nature of our community? And for me, does this go back to our lack of intrinsic value, which will then again take us back to the root of capitalism? Because in these Americas, that is what makes you whole. That is what makes you valuable. So in the context of pretending to be the good guy, wearing the right T-shirt. Like, I know them niggas. And I'm going to tell you, before we walked into this show, me and Herb was having that conversations. And them dudes are the bane of my existence. Right? But then on the back end, I'm fairly blunt. And most times in the public sphere,
Right.
I get kind of positioned as a curmudgeon or as the mad or the mean guy. You know what I mean? And I don't mean to be mean, but I'm just not pussyfooting around the issue.
Right.
Where I know it's other guys that pussyfoot around the issue, and at their core, they're pure assholes.
Right.
But it works for them. And it works for them, and this just might be my mind, because we are all looking for the best lie, because we don't feel valuable in the inside in the first place, which goes back to the transactional nature which capitalism creates. Just want to get some of your thoughts around that statement.
For me, it makes perfect sense. I mean, for me, it's always about getting back to the root cause that would cause anybody to do any such a thing, right? And so, one, the allegations are very, very serious. It's always something to take serious, and I don't, just the same as I wasn't going to blindly accept it as fact when it landed in my phone today. I also wasn't going to blindly dismiss it as false either. You know what I'm saying? It's serious enough to have to address, and you know. I think that anytime you talk about somebody doing something in that manner, right, to intentionally defame a person in that way, there has to be a root cause, right? There has to be something that is causing someone to move like that, to behave in that type of way. And, you know, it's always important to get back to the origins of that thing, right? And not so much just the last thing that happened, but the first thing that caused that thing to happen. So, listen, man, I get it. I understand it, and I commend Obari for being willing and to address it. And I'm with RO Double saying, like, maybe he shouldn't be speaking about it right now while it's still an ongoing civil case. And so, you know, I'm cool with leaving it there, but I do respect the willingness to put it out there, not only here but in his own book, right? And to have that conversation, I think is necessary. I think is commendable. I understand it, man. I've been in places where people say things about you that's just like not true. And me, I'm never gonna like walk around with my head down nah, like that's stupid. That's not a real thing. And so you just keep pushing forward. You just keep doing what you think is aligned with your purpose, and you do that thing. And that's just what it is. And you know, the court case will play out, and it'll be what it's gonna be. The criminal thing is clearly not even. That never even took off, and now you're dealing with the civil piece, and we'll see what comes from that thing specifically. But in terms of the conversation that you have in totality, yeah, I think there's a root cause to that type of stuff, you know, coming from somewhere, right? Somebody wants something out of you know, that type of story, whatever it may be, right? Whether you're looking to be whole as a person, or whether you be looking to be whole financially, or misery likes company, and I just want to you know, piss on somebody else because I feel like the world is pissing on me. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? It comes from somewhere, but who knows exactly? You good there?
I'm good. I you know, but I think it goes back to where we started this conversation again. At what point does victimhood become voluntarism?
On what?
In every capacity, we fully assimilate into this culture, right? So then you hear statements like "believe women." Right, and I would love to say that that's valid.
Oh, listen, I would love to think that every time I heard of sexual abuse, sexual assault allegation, that is 100% true. I would wish that in my mind I never would even have to question, like, is this a real thing, right? This is somebody who's been harmed, abused. I believe them. Let's get them justice. But the truth of the matter is, we've seen this thing like a lot, right? And again, it's a very, 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 very slippery slope, because the last thing I want to do is get in anywhere near victim blaming or anything like that, right? But it's a very, very slippery slope, because you've seen, you know, these things come out as absolutely false, and you've seen people try to use these types of things for their own benefit, be it financial, be it social, be it whatever it is, and I don't know. It becomes a very, very tough thing to kind of cipher through, and it's a tough thing for anybody to go through on either side of that thing, as the accuser or as the accused. It's a real, real tough thing.
Yeah, I'm with that. in the case of that court case.
No, I mean in totality.
See, I'm not with that.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't think it's a very difficult or hard decision, and none of that mumbo jumbo in my mind.
Okay.
I think that we are savages. And that's what I mean. At what point does victimhood stop being victimhood and start being volunteerism? Right? If we acknowledge all of the devil behavior that the white man brings to the planet, and then align ourselves with that same devil behavior, right? And then justify said devil behavior by our ability to assimilate into the culture.
Certain things are to be expected from that, you're saying.
It is what it is.
Or at least accepted from that. Not if not expected, you got to accept that some things come along. Once you align yourself with this system, then other people who are operating within it and operating outside, coloring outside of the lines within it, you kind of accept this system. So you can't. So what I was saying is I'm saying it's hard to say yes, no, right? It's hard to be like, yeah, this person did abuse this person, or nah, this person is lying about being abused. That's what I'm saying. It's hard. But you're talking about this assimilating into this culture where, you know, it's about whatever I can get from it. Then yeah, that becomes a problem. And so are you saying that until all of us let go of that type of belief and stop trying to align ourselves with that type of system, then we gotta just kind of accept some of the BS that comes along with it?
I'm trying to get Brother Carpenter's opinion.
Sure.
And he's the licensed therapist guy, right? And part of my pushback on therapy in totality is like, how do you get health out of a sick society? The entirety of the society is sick. Just leveraging the conversation that he was having, pretending to be I wrote this down as a quote.
So real quick, so this is a part of that. Let me clear this up real quick. I'm not licensed for the reason you're saying, exactly. I didn't want to have the state have to justify my work as a healer for my people. I believe that all of the ways we get trained to do therapy from these institutions are in lots of ways either doing harm or just maintaining this managing cope in place. I don't think that America could teach healers how to deal with intergenerational trauma. So I never wanted a license for that reason. That's one of the points that we in court for, because they talk about operating fraudulently without it. But I've never pretended to be anything other than do the work that I do. But to your point though, and I guess it's my turn to push back a little bit. I think my most fundamental challenge or struggle is with the volunteer part of the framework, because the volunteer part is sort of it implies a certain desire to be complicit in a way that I think that the victimhood, that the power dynamics don't even allow us some say in how we survive. I think that people end up having to do things that they wouldn't under different circumstances, and to continue to blame the people for that and leave the circumstances without, their contribution to this is a misanalysis, right? And I think that it leaves people feeling like because they had to make decisions to survive, to feed their kids, at one point, we the descendants of people that decided to stay on the ship and not jump. And it's a terrible decision to have to make. The circumstance is at fault for putting a person in a position to decide to stay on the plantation with their kids or run, right? These are terrible conditions that are making us have to make this choice. I think that, the slavery, analogies are dramatic, but I think there's still present day circumstances that make people have to make a decision that make their children healthy or leave their children hungry. And to say that they having to volunteer for that adds a level of shame and guilt and personal fault for that leaves a system without its own blame. And so I think that for me, that's one part of the both ends. We got to figure out a way to give, particularly young people, a way to have agency and power and feed their children and to have success in a way that we define it, that is not about conquering, that is not about assimilating, that's not about volunteering, while being compassionate with the compromise that people end up having to make that, I don't know, is clearly defined by volunteering. I think surviving is a better way to describe it. And when people do what they got to do to survive, especially if they got kids in mind, like it's just there's not always easy answers, and we all making compromises. If we paying taxes, you making compromises. You got an ID, a social security number. We can talk all the revolutionary shit we want. We got cell phones. Right now, we on whatever platform we're using to make this is contributing to harm in some way. There's no way to live a life in this country, maybe in most places in the world, without making some compromises. And I think we got to be careful to not blame the victims of that compromise, of the structures, of the enemies, to make us have to do things in order to feed ourselves, without really like adequately putting all of the understanding of how we got to that place in full context.
So again, I think there's nuance, at least in the conversation I'm having.
Yes, sir.
Right. The entirety of the point you just made, I often make an analogy about the crabs in the barrel statement that we make. The barrel isn't the crab's natural environment. When you see the crab on the water, they's not pulling at each other to stop him from going nowhere. Right. It is the barrel which is the problem. Right. I do not disagree. But we've been in the barrel for 400 plus years, right? And at some point, you have to make a decision, right? First act of revolution in that Turner made was to galvanize the slaves, the Africans that were enslaved.
300 of them.
So we don't get confused around the language.
300 of them. I like the story. Don't not tell it. I always love it.
So he galvanized 400 of them, right? Said, hey, man, we finna tear this motherfucker down.
Right.
Right? Take the dollar, right? 100 of them say, I'm with it.
Right.
Another 400 say, I ain't with it. The 100 say, well, what's our first revolutionary act? And that turn says to kill them 300. It got to be done. It got to be done. Because however we paint it, those 300 had chosen volunteerhood at that point.
Okay. So I'm glad you said that. And it brings me to this point, and it's something that I always disagree with, and maybe I need to think about it a little bit differently. When we come back from break, I'm going to ask both of y'all a question as it relates to that very same story that you just told. When people talk about the fact that these kids, right, are too far gone, they aren't worth saving, we need to just kill them all and lock them up, are they referring to them as the 300 who said, nah, I ain't about overthrowing this thing. We just need to find our space in it. Is that the same thing? Don't give me your answer just yet.
It's going to be real quick. We need to have a conversation. That Turner ain't called them yet. See how they respond. And that's kind of the problem. Ain't no Nat Turners left.
Okay. We're going to have that on the other side of the break. You better let me get my T's in next time.
Nah, I ain't on that.
We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll have that conversation. I'll pose that question not only to Tucson, I'll pose it to Obari, and I got to think about it myself too, because it just made me think about it for real. This is I Say What I Say. My name is Herb. His name is Tu. Dr. Cartman is joining us on the live line. We'll be right back.
Maze Jackson.
If you could make up a social media holiday, what would it be?
Randy said National Don't Let No One Put You Down Day.
No one. What you gonna do? So when they say something crazy, you slap them?
Be like me said. Randy said a Jukathon Day.
Man, we about 60 years old. I be done had a heart.
You gotta get your heart rate up.
Okay, not that far.
Yeah. All right, Mario said my favorite one. My friends and I do what we call National Call Off from Work Day.
As a business owner, I don't.
You don't like that, yeah?
I don't like that one.
Because I'm the boss of this family.
We got Marcus Garvey Day from Remy too.
Oh, Marcus Garvey Day. All right, what will we do on Marcus Garvey Day?
Call off from work.
I'm going to need you to go ahead and come in tomorrow. That would be great. Okay?
Yeah, right. Every black holiday has something to do with calling off from work.
You're cool. I'm out.
How about National Join a Positive Black Organization Day? Because I don't want to be recruited. I don't want to be recruited and the brothers be like, thank you. Thank you. How about National Tell White People the Truth Day? Tell them how you really feel.
You can't handle the truth.
Why don't we call that National Black People Get Locked Up Day?
I'm going to tell them there's an African-American man threatening my life.
Hello.
The most dangerous show in the morning.
You are tuned in to Minding Our Black-Owned Business. We have now one team.
You and Michael talked about some key stuff. Basically, the project needed insurance. I'm now in the space of commercial real estate and trying to understand what that looks like. And so I have a wonderful, normal insurance person that, when I'm doing events and stuff that covers it. Yep. But what happened is when you have commercial real estate, there's different insurance you need. And when you're getting a loan, my bank wanted 133% of the actual loan project covered, right? And this number was high in the six figures. We got the quotes from bigger companies like the State Farms and the Countryside and all of them. That's who they were with. I was getting back prices like between $11,000 and $15,000 for like a 6-month policy, for a construction policy. And we got to eat this ridiculous amount of money. And mind you, it's COVID. My company, there's no money coming in. Everything was stopped. I'm like, oh, we got to do it. We got to get this insurance. Michael did that post. And with me, I'm always trying to support not just Black, but my own. If I know you, it's a trust thing, right?
Yep.
So I immediately, as soon as I sent that post, I text Mike. I'm like, dude, can you do this? And it was like a Saturday night. He hit Junior. Really? I'm like, oh, get in that contract right now, Junior. We good. And I mean, literally, I didn't know that because we're so used to hearing brands doing insurance. What I've learned during COVID is to stop and really read. I love the pictures and everything, but when you start to read the context, like people be like, when Michael or people are putting stuff and they're saying, are you really reading?
Right.
Or are you just going along with everybody saying congratulations and filtering the first thing that pops up that Facebook wants you to say? And Michael has coached me in so many things. That literally saved me money. And I wanted people to know, especially when you're getting into commercial mixed use, if it's property, you need someone with insurance. My insurance person told us, she said, it's best to go through someone like Michael, but people don't know those companies exist because what happens is they would actually solicit Michael for pricing. Then Michael would give them a price. Then Country Time put their pricing on it. And then the agent has to put their prices on it. And that's why you get triple the cost.
Right.
Everybody's hand is in it because they're reaching out to brokers.
WIFTBPM.
All day. Check it out. See, while you was on the corner trying to scrape up pack money, I was driving 80 stack trucks off rap money. I'm back money. If you want it, come to the hundreds and ask for me. Meet them OGs that'll blast for me. I'm right here. Ill Adidas, $400 jeans on me. Itchy with no safety, a loaded magazine on me. Southside, that's as wild as it gets. And no, I never sold crack. That's some house nigga shit. I'm not judging, but every man that's a man gotta stand by his principles, and I'm not budging. That's Mickey. You can take it how you want, but you can never be me. You can fake it how you want. I spit that uncut raw. You can bake it how you want. Break it down any way you like. You get the same result. Get in tune. The elephant in the room has now assumed pole position. Whoa. Oh.
Let's go bump.
Get him.
Eastside stand up.
Reporting live from the gutter where that butter get gorillas jobs. That's why we call it work. The same work who get a nigga robbed. I throw my dice against the concrete. If the bitches pass, see you later. Grab my paper, tell her they kiss my ass. This the jungle, baby. I'm a lion. Try me, I'll be firing. The same banger, same Private Ryan. You the prey, you survive and hide. Better pray that them vultures and them rovers don't go flying by them. The mother niggas just so-so. How in the birth a nigga this hot in the cold go? I went from 20-inch assassins on that Osmo to the pretty 760.
B.O.N. Donnell.
Those are big shoes, you motherfuckers is so slow. Get caught without your heat in these streets is a no-no. Baby need Pampers, daddy need that photo. It's bread or nothing, big old niggas, you see the logo.
Gangsters do what they want, suckers do what they can.
Whoa.
Welcome back.
That's really
Huh?
That's really not true, though.
What's not true? That gangsters do what they want, suckers do what they can?
That's really not true.
Well, let's have that conversation because I think you're absolutely wrong. Matter of fact, we have that conversation all the time. What are you talking about? Man, listen. This is I Said What I Said. My name is Herb Howard. My esteemed co-host, his name is Toussaint Warner. Behind the glass in the production studio doing all of the hard work is the one and only the good brother Flo is back there handling business. Flo, you still good in there, man?
Yes, I'm all good. I'm just laughing at too. He just gave you that this young nigga look.
Yeah, but he's tweaking though because we have this conversation all the time. First of all, if you just tuned in, this is I Said What I Said. Each and every weekday from 3 to 6 p.m. we get together right here and we discuss issues that are impacting the black community. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. We know that y'all could be doing literally anything else or absolutely nothing. You could be taking a shower, you could be asleep, you could be eating, you could be doing anything other than being right here. The fact that y'all are right here is something that we are very, very grateful for. We appreciate each and every one of you all. We do not take it for granted. Shout out to you watching on Facebook. Shout out to everybody that's watching on YouTube. If you come back and catch the show later, we appreciate each and every one of y'all. We've been joined by Obari Carmen, who has been kind of hanging out with us as we talk through some of these community issues, and we've kind of gone off into another conversation. But before we hop back into that, who you tweaking, sir? We say all the time that the gumption of these gangsters to just do what they want, right, is kind of the energy that we need to be moving with as a people, right? So we talk, whether we talk about certain scenes from American Gangster and how Frank Lucas was moving, or we talk about how Donald Trump moved through the Oval. Like, gangsters do what they want. Suckers do what they can. That's a real thing. Bump knew it when he was 17, 18, 19.
Men do what's necessary. And there's a difference.
I didn't say nothing about men, though.
But doing what you want does not make you powerful. It really makes you weak.
I disagree.
You can do what you want. If you
I do. That's what I'm doing. I'm saying, like,
hear me out. I had to have these conversations with my nephews because they listen to these dumbass records too.
Okay.
Right? You can sleep on the couch all day long. That don't make you powerful. And we assume and we associate the commentary of gangster being of some stature. Doing what you want ain't about shit. Doing what's necessary is what makes you a man. There's a very big difference. And I'm having this conversation because I love you. And you're my little brother and you need this help.
I love you too. And I receive everything you got for me all the time.
Nephews too. It's true. Because that moniker, gangsters do what they want. They run with them dumbass sayings.
Yeah, but
it's true. They could. They could do what they want all day.
Right, but you talking
about
not
accomplish a goddamn thing.
Yeah, but you talking semantics, right? You
But I'm
so you're
not.
talking about you got to do what's necessary versus do what you want. And so I'm saying when Bump say gangsters do what they want, suckers do what they can, he don't mean I'm a gangster so I can sit on the couch and scratch my balls all day. He said I can do whatever by any means necessary. I can get out here and get to it. Yo, sucker ass is gonna do something else to conform and not go get to what you want. Gangsters gonna get to what they want. That's Frank Lucas saying, no, I'm not going to assimilate into the Italian mob structure that says I gotta buy from y'all and go. I'm gonna go around all that. I'm gonna do what I want because I'm a gangster. You are a sucker.
So the Frank Lucas conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Is he conforming to what's left for him? Or is he creating a new pathway? Is he conforming?
He created a new one.
No. Is he conforming to what's offered to him, or is he creating something of new? See, to the point of white gangsters, right? Who have now become politicians because they are creating the pathways. They are doing what's necessary to get in the positions to do the things they want to do.
Sure.
Dominate and control.
Sure.
That's a misrepresentation of power in our community. I had pushback for Brother Lance because he says the same thing. The only thing that's going to save the young boys in the streets is when the gangsters come home. That devalues,
that's not true.
That devalues manhood and masculinity. Because we all buy into that same silly ass concepts that gangsters, like, it's become synonymous that real man is gangster. It's a synonym in this city.
I don't agree with that though.
You don't think it's a synonym in this city, Flo? Do you think it's a synonym in this city?
Man, I think you're 100% on that one. Bro.
Absolutely. Because we've overvalued gangsterism and devalued manhood. Men do what's necessary. Being a gangster by the very essence of what it stands for is some whole shit.
Yeah.
So we can go back to Brother Byron.
All right, go ahead. Y'all have this conversation. I need to take this phone call. I don't know what it's about, but I need to take it.
You gonna leave out with the phone call?
Y'all can have a conversation? Fine, I'll stay.
Thank you. This is our show.
Yeah, this has to do with our show. I'm almost 1,000% sure. Numbnut.
Jesus Christ, you make this difficult.
You get on my nerves sometimes, man. God, I gotta deal with this dude too much. Oh, Barry, what's going on, brother? You still with us, man?
Yeah, we here. Y'all hear me? I'm
yeah,
good.
We got you loud and clear, man. I'm over here trying to school this brother, but he's stubborn.
I'm actually on Tucson's side on this, to be honest.
Man, both of y'all wrong.
I debate with my equals. Everybody else I teach. It's what it is.
So where you come in on this gangster versus sucker conversation? Now you brought in manhood, which wasn't even in the premise. So how
No, I think it's
when you're
implied.
talking about something that wasn't even in the
But
premise?
it is implied.
No, it wasn't.
I think it's implied.
All right, come on.
I think it reminded me of Beyonce had a song. I'm a grown woman. I do whatever I want. I don't think that's what a grown man do. I think a grown man does what the community wants, what his community needs, is responding to a bigger cause. And then I got kids. They 5 and they 8. They do whatever they want. They respond to what they
child,
need.
it's a child behavior to
It's
do
a
what you
it's a
want.
childlike. It's a child position. Do what you want for sure.
Yeah, man. But
so yeah, I'm on that.
Yeah. We gonna learn him, man. He's still a young boy. He got a lot of ways to go, but we working on him.
Mm-hmm.
But I do want to get back to that. I was trying to formulate a question around that statement I made about the good guys wear the t-shirts deal, right? And I think that plays out in our community, and even in regards to like how men and women relate. Like I got a few partners that I full out love, right? Now I make jokes about them. I call them Shajas. You remember Shaja from A Different World? The guy with the dreads who come in and read poetry, and all the women would swoon over him. And I know a lot of dudes that move through the world like that, but at the essence, they don't necessarily mean well for women. But because they move in that manner, it's like, I don't want to say intoxicating, but it fits into the manner of the idea of what the woman should be expecting within this fantasy of you're a princess, you're part of this paradigm that we've bought into, right? And I think it makes you, it's almost like a predator to prey. Most times when I see dudes like that, I immediately identify them as predators, regardless of how sensitive they come off as. And I think that's in relation to the very what's going on? What is that?
I think somebody trying to call a bar.
The very transactional nature of our society, right? It's like, let me tell you the right lie to get to what I need to get to.
Sure.
And if I need to present myself in a way where I'm wearing, flowery rayon shirts, it works. But it's still manipulation.
I don't disagree with you on that piece. Oh, Obari is disagreeing with you. Okay,
no,
cool.
I didn't say disagree. No, I was trying to get
No,
it back
I don't disagree with that.
But it goes back to the
I
conversation.
agree with that. I mean, I think that
to the capitalism conversation I was having, everything is a transaction. So is that not volunteerism? If we are all operating in that space, going back to your spiritual conversation versus this kind of innate dealing with capitalism, are we operating in this spiritual realm, or are we operating under this paradigm of capitalism? And once you start to align yourselves with this capitalist paradigm, how are you not volunteering for either oppression or seeking out power? Because capitalism only works in one way. There's going to be a bottom. And what's traditionally happened is that we've been deemed to said bottom. So if we're going to be men and doing what's necessary, if we're going to decide to be here, then our role has to be to overcome being at that bottom. At least in my mind. I don't see how we align spiritually while being at that bottom.
I agree with you, Obari.
So I think that if we focus on, can y'all hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay. I think if we focus on removing ourselves from the bottom and ascending within the ranks that they have prescribed for us and maintaining the system as it is, that just replaces somebody else on the bottom.
Not
and I think
my problem.
that's what the gangsterism philosophy
I fully get it, but
encourages
that
for
ain't
young
my
people.
problem. My commitment to my community is my commitment to my community. Who falls to the bottom ain't my issue. That's kind of how the cyclical nature works. It's a race to resources. Either you gonna whoop my ass or I'm gonna whoop your ass. That's just the nature of it. That's just the nature of it.
That's the nature of scarcity. You said that earlier. That's a scarcity mindset.
Or it's the I don't disagree, but it's where we are. It is what it is, right? We're not in Africa.
It's a race to resources.
The equator, right? Everything is not in abundance. And if it was, O-Block wouldn't exist. So while we are here, either we got to rise to the occasion of the environment we inherit or accept defeat.
I agree with
I don't
that
see it as being a
But when you say here, you say we are here, you thinking about here in Chicago.
White supremacy is
South,
global at this
on
point,
the
bro.
east side
We
where I'm
could
at
be
right now.
in any
be in the middle of Africa.
any continent you want to get to. White supremacy is there. Africa's been colonized. Africans don't run Africa.
So what I'm suggesting is what here could mean isn't defined by somebody's political boundaries, whether it's on the continent, wherever part of you wherever you at in the world. Who I am and where I am cannot always be defined by some boundaries that somebody else put on me. That includes my own name. I hate my last name. I'm looking at it right now. That's not who I am. I use that, but that's not who I am. I'm in Chicago. That's not where I am. If I stand outside, look up at the sky, my feet planted on the dirt. I'm surrounded by a bunch of trees and air. That's where I am. And so that definition of who I am and my aligning with that can't be just succumb to somebody else's political boundaries. And as long as we do that, that's when we give them their power. That's how we give our agency away, is by situating ourselves in somebody else's a framework for us, and try to maneuver within that. We're more powerful than that. And where we are and who we are is bigger than that. And until we sort of claim that from that position, we always going to be responding and reacting to them. And that, again, that's how we going, even when we winning, we still going to be losing.
So I will agree with you in the sense that we have to find ourselves in the context of our true selves, in our true being, our spiritual selves.
Sure.
In order to overcome said capitalist system.
Sure.
So there is a cohesiveness in my mind to both ideologies. But again, the opponent ain't going away because you found yourself spiritually. You're still going to find yourself in conflict.
Yeah.
Because the very nature of said system exists while leveraging you being at the bottom.
But ain't that the conversation we have all the time about, like, choosing to engage or not engage? I can choose to not play this game. Like, I don't have to play it. Now, surely, because of where my feet actually are, and I get the concept that Obari was saying, is, I don't have to be where my feet are necessarily, but physically, we are where we are. So I get you on that piece. But I'm saying use those resources to build our new thing. And so that's what I'm saying. Like, we don't have to view this thing from just how do I find a way to best exist within a pre-established system. I'm saying let's build a whole new thing. And that requires a lot of fuck what you talking about. I'm going to do this other thing. Like, that's what I'm saying. Like, and so for me, like, it ain't about how do I be the best man I can be within the constructs of this, pre-established system. It is about do I have enough gumption to be like, to heck with your system. I don't even want to take part in your system, and I don't care how deep it runs. And that's what I'm talking about when you talk about Donald Trump. This is a dude I don't care how old this country is. I don't care how long y'all been doing things this way. I'm going to do it this way. Hell no, I'm not coming to no inauguration to hand over to a peaceful transfer of power. Fuck you. I was trying to beat you last month. I don't like you now either. You know what I'm saying? And so, like, that's what I'm saying. Like there's a level of this thing that has to be like about, no, we need an entirely different thing. I'm not trying to catch up to you in this game. I'm trying to end this game and start something else.
How do you end the game without conquering it first? Because the game is contingent on you being in place.
So what do you mean?
Keep playing.
So what do you mean when you say they got a 400-year head start around a Monopoly board? You can't catch them. You got to flip the board over.
I mean, revolution.
Me too. So what are we saying?
You got to conquer the game first. Still, you got to conquer the person.
That's not even a real thing. You already said that we can't catch up to them. They got a 400-year head start. They've been around the board 400 times before we even got a piece. Before I even had a little man to move across the board, they went around 400 times. I can't catch you. I'm not playing the game.
I didn't say catch you. I said conquer you. What we're doing is trying to catch you. We've assimilated. We've become volunteers.
We agree right there, my G.
That's why you're trying to catch him.
We agree right there for sure.
But we have the volunteer mentality. How do you get beyond the volunteer mentality? How do you get beyond that mentality?
You just say, I'm not with it no more.
And what
I'm not doing this anymore.
What is the response to, how do you get to not with it?
You stop showing up, right?
Okay, so I mean, you also stop what? You stop eating, you stop living inside the home. How do you not show up?
You go about it differently, too. That's all I'm saying. So yeah, I agree with you.
I keep asking questions, leading questions for you to get to me.
Okay, I got you. I got you. And so every time I'm saying, like, you know how I know that we accept the BS that happens in this country? Because anytime they do something that is super egregious, right? Anytime they take billions or trillions of taxpayer dollars to bail out one of these Fortune 5 companies, right? Or one of these doggone banks, these financial institutions who messed up a whole bunch of money and messed over a whole bunch of people, right? And then our government says, oh, we got to take y'all money to bail them out. We don't throw a fit about it, which tells me that we believe the narrative that we are more dependent upon them for our survival than they are dependent upon us. And that just doesn't make sense. How 1% of our population can convince 99% of our population that the 99 is more dependent upon the 1 than the 1 is dependent upon the 99. That doesn't make sense to me. And so I'm saying anytime they do that, what we should do is shut their whole thing down. I'm not showing up. I'm not coming to your weak ass job. To heck with your company. All that can go away. I'm not doing it, right? Now, do I still need to eat? Yeah, so I'm going to eat, but this is how I'm going to eat. I'm coming in your store, and I'm getting food to eat. Stop me. Stop me.
Okay, so I don't see where you in disagreement with me. All I'm saying is it's going to take a revolution.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm not, okay.
So we have to do all that just for me to tell you I was right?
You went through that. I said what I said.
God, I hate this dude on the weekends, man. Anyway, Abar, you got anything else to add to that piece, man?
Yeah, there's one last thing, man. I do believe that it will take radical transformation. I think that we would depart on going up into somebody's store and taking food to eat because we could eat without stores. When I think about where we are and where I am, where my children are, as long as I start where I'm in United States, all I'm doing is giving power to somebody else's imagination from 400 years ago. They got a 400-year head start as long as the framework is we are in America, which is somebody made up one day. I've been watching Hamilton. All of that shit is good, funny as fuck. Just when I revisit the founding fathers, the story, the myth that they tell about this creation of this country, it just reminds me that somebody just came up with an idea one day and made that shit work, and they put their work into it, and it created, chaos and trauma and violence for a bunch of people. But it was just an idea. So we're not actually in America right now. We're not in Chicago. We're not in Illinois. If you look at we can look at a map or a globe where they drew the lines, or we can look at the map where it's just a landmass. And that's where we at. That's actually where we are, is a landmass and a giant ball floating around in the universe. We're not in the fucking Cook County. Somebody made that shit up. And if we start with our conceptualization of who we are and how we can move forward from that framework, then we 400 years behind. If we start where we the first people on this land, on this ball floating around, then we thousands of years ahead. And we can claim that, and there's victory and power in that we give away when we allow them to shape the framework from which we sit, stand, and operate. And that don't take revolution. That just takes a shift in consciousness. And from that position, all we gotta do is find people to know how to grow food. All you need is an egg to make some chickens. All you need is a seed. And I can feed myself without having to break into somebody's store because I've convinced myself that I'm dependent on the things that they've created for me, and all of it's an illusion in ways.
Agreed, but I'm saying there has to be a decision made, right? And at one point in time, we're like, I'm done with this, right? And so while we're building up our own community gardens and our own farmlands and all that, we still got to eat in the meantime. And so in the meantime, what we're going to do is the same way y'all been pillaging our communities and robbing our communities and putting your Jewels and your Walmarts and your Walgreens in our communities, taking our resources and taking them back to wherever the heck you live at and not reinvesting in any way, shape, or form. We gonna come get that too. You gotta pay taxes on that, homie. Period. You gotta pay taxes because I said so. Just like you said I gotta pay taxes, I'm saying now you have to pay taxes. I'm saying I'm outside of your complete construct, and now you gotta pay taxes on that. Period. We don't pay taxes.
I think it can happen in ways that's sustainable.
We're gonna take theirs too. Hold on. We're gonna take theirs too. And I'm coming like this because when you talk about, and then so Alvin, good brother, love him. He says that Herb, them bullets will stop you. And that is the exact energy that I'm talking about that holds us back. That has to be on the table. All that scared stuff has to go. I know they got guns. I'm not oblivious to that fact. I understand that piece, bro. But that has to be a part of it. If we're not willing to risk nothing, we're not willing to put no skin in the game, then hell yeah, we're going to keep cowering in the corner and do whatever they say we can do. Gangsters do what they want. Suckers do what they can. I'm not finna sit here and be no sucker because they got bullets. Period. God said I can do what the fuck I want. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Every single day.
I think we can do it in a way that's sustainable. I think we can do it in a way that we can win. And if we walk it up into the Jewels, we can't survive a week. Like we saw what happened when we looted the jewels. Like we went up in there, took the shelves out. It was clean in the hours, and then that food was ate in 2 days. Now what? Are we stuck in the same place? If we're collaborating with those of us that have expertise in using the land right here where we at, claim it for ourselves, you ain't got to shoot no bullet. We just got to cooperate and work together and use the ingenuity that we naturally got.
That ain't how
And
war
build from
work,
there.
though, bro.
I think it's sustainable. I think there's sustainable ways that we could do this. It's not so fanatic. It's not so like, fuck it, I'll do whatever I want.
We just passed the 100-year anniversary of the Tulsa Massacre. We just passed that. It went past with no fanfare. Right? That was a community that we all kind of herald as being self-sustaining and completely black. And when the powers that be decided that was no longer going to exist, it no longer exists.
That's what I'm saying. So we at war. So this.
So who's at the bottom of the paradigm don't mean a damn thing to me.
Don't matter to me either, right?
It just can't be us.
But it's this concept that somehow we can peacefully take this. That's not real. That is not how war works. Power does not concede to anything else but greater power. That's it. They ain't finna just be like, here, y'all can have this. And so, or if y'all leave us alone and y'all start building y'all own thing, we'll let y'all do it. We done it. They came, they burned it down. They will do it again because we are at war. They know it. Now, whether or not we know it is a problem. But if we don't know, after all of this time and all this mistreatment and all of these war tactics that they've used against us, from food deserts to miseducation to redlining to slavery to imprisonment, all of these war tactics that they use against us, if we don't know we're at war by now, I don't know what we've been looking at. And when you are at war, death is a part of it. It's just that simple.
You don't know you're at war because you're a volunteer. You just want to join.
That's what I'm saying. I agree with you on that, G. I'm right there with you. Like I thought we were saying two different things, but I came around and realized that we were saying the same thing. You just like to push back for no reason, even though you agree with me.
You just don't like to listen.
No, I listened to everything you said. That's where my response came from.
I never argue with nobody in this conversation today.
I'm not arguing.
Okay.
I'm not arguing. I'm passionate, so sometimes I get a little loud. I love you. I love Alvin. Alvin is my man, but whatever.
So, again, man, I'm with everybody.
I'm not going to reverse and go back because, like, oh, you know what? They got guns over there. I knew that already.
I think it's a nuanced conversation. All of it is a nuanced conversation. I'm with Obari in the context of spiritual alignment. I'm with you there, right? But I'm also in the reality of this is the paradigm in which we are existing. Right, and I get all of the stuff you said about this is just a landmass. I get all that, right? But the Indians operated off that same paradigm, and the white man came with gunpowder and said, "No, this is mine, goddammit."
Period. Period. Just like we talk about these carjackings.
This is mine.
This your car? This 45 say it ain't your car.
And all I'm saying is we have to be in a position to be prepared to play that game.
Yeah. I agree. We on the same thing. You go to the wire when Marlo won the poker game.
And in my mind,
full house.
This goes back to the Amos Wilson quote again. Manhood is something to be achieved. Mm-hmm. It is about mastering the environment in which you inherit. This is not a hunter-gatherer society. I don't care how much alignment we are in, where we all decide to grow plants together. Mm-hmm. Once you drop out the system, the bottom shifts, and the powers that be commands that there's a bottom. So dropping out isn't an option unless I, the power that be, give you said option. Mm-hmm. So you still go back to, in my mind again, the Amos Wilson quote of, you must master the environment in which you inherit. So for us to achieve full manhood,
yes, sir,
it is a necessity that we conquer white supremacy. And I'll say, go one step further, even in universal law, in regards to spirituality. It is also capitalism that is killing every other aspect of the universe. And if we really are God's chosen people, then the universe is calling on us to conquer its greatest villain.
Yeah, but you ain't going to do that trying to assimilate, and you ain't going to do that if you're scared to die. That's
you
a
ain't
part
gonna
of
do
it.
that if you're a volunteer.
Agreed.
Right. That's all I'm saying.
Agreed. Happy I could school you.
I'm so appreciative.
Anytime, my brother. Anytime. I'll listen. Monday through Friday, I'm here at 3:00, my brother.
I welcome it, man. I thank you. Thank you for enlightening me.
Oh, Barry, man, we're going to end this conversation and get you up out of here, man. Any last words from you before we take this final break, my brother? Oh, first of all, let the people know how they can keep in touch with you, but also how they can find out. When you get done with your final word, make sure you let people know how they can keep up with you, how they can find out more about what's going on at Real Men Charities, and also what's going on at the Quarry. Let them know about the Sunday yoga piece, which I still haven't made it to, but I need to. But go ahead.
Y'all hear me? I'm still here.
Yeah, we got you.
So no final words, man. I appreciate the conversation. Appreciate y'all y'all brotherhood and y'all support and y'all creating this platform and going into real issues for a lot of times people talking around in circles ain't really saying shit. So I appreciate this conversation for a lot of reasons. Yeah, I mean that's all I do, man. All day is just trying to connect with men, whether it's one-on-one. I got therapy clients, from 7 years old to 94-year-olds, Jamaica to Germany. So this is my life's work. If anybody want to connect with any of that through Real Men Charities, we have a weekly free men's support group. We start with a black man do a yoga session, 11:30, and then we start going to an African drum group, and then it's just a talking circle. Every Sunday is free. Bring whoever. And we got free breakfast if you got some shorties and need some food. Y'all welcome to come by to the Quarry. Between I think 7 and 9, they get their free breakfast away. And then come by for the afternoon to buy from Soul Veg for the lunch until they go back to their original location. We got a website, we got Instagram. You look Real Men Charities up, you find us. I got a network of black therapists, black. I'm gonna put it in the chat. I can't think of it right now. But I'm also the president of Black Psychologists. We got an Instagram and webpage there. We always doing forums just around Black mental health and liberation. So any of these formations, I'm with. I got a curriculum. It's a rite of passage curriculum called Manifest. We're doing in partnership with the city. It's a hip hop based mental health clinic. I work with an organization called HELP, Healing, Empowering Learning Professionals. We do stuff for schools. I rock with a bunch of real dope organizations that doing this work, trying to figure out healing and wholeness and wellness from a cultural perspective for Black people. So if y'all want to know more about that, feel free to reach out. My personal Instagram is @Cartman1. Feel free to email me, website, all that stuff. So stay in touch. Do some work.
Again, the address to the Quarry is 2423 East 75th Street.
East 75th. Yeah.
2423 East 75th Street, Sunday morning starting at 11:30.
Yes, sir.
Sunday mornings at 11:30. Oh, Barry, man, appreciate you taking the time, my brother. Enjoy the rest of your day. Tell Ayende I said what up. We got to get him on the show sometime soon, too. We'll talk to you soon, man.
True. Appreciate y'all, man.
Indeed. Appreciate you.
All right.
Indeed. We're going to take a break. When we come back from break, hopefully two will be done getting on my nerve about nothing. What's wrong with you, man? Why you act like that?
I'll tell you what the YouTube comments say.
Yeah, that's fine. What they say?
Said a smart man once said, a wise man once said nothing. Herbert.
They tagged me on that? I doubt it.
That's what they said. I'm just letting you know.
A wise man once said nothing. Herbert.
Yeah, his baby said, shut up, Herbert.
Doubt it.
Okay.
We'll leave it right there. We got to take a break. When we come back, we'll put a bow on the conversation for today. Then we'll wrap this thing up. My name is Herb. His name is Tu. Got about 20 more minutes left in the show. We'll be right back.
Hey, y'all, this is Salim Muwakil from Muwakil's World. In case you missed the last discussion, this is what you missed.
There was a time when there was a large-scale mythology that African people had no endurance. We were only good for sprinting.
Right.
And that was our forte. Other than that, we were useless in marathon races. Establishing your patrimony on the land. If you bury the dead, that means that this land is forever in your family.
Who are our ancestors, really? We are the living ancestors to a whole genealogical line going back hundreds of thousands, millions of years that we carry within us living today. Everyone who preceded us. Mm-hmm. However, that conception took place, whether it was violently, with rape, or whatever the case, but
We are them living today.
That's why it's important to understand our capacity, man. Our capacity is unlimited. We have unlimited potential.
Absolutely.
So make sure you tune in Monday, Wednesday, and Friday from 11 to 1 p.m. on What's in It for the Black People Media.
Church Chicago's Power Hour.
Yeah.
I'm your host, Angie Mims, and
Terrence Keys.
TD, a.k.a. Terrence Daniels.
I wish I had one witness in the house.
You got one.
Got a couple of them. Got a couple of them.
Two T's.
Give me a testimony.
Oh, Lord. He's did it before. Oh, Lord.
I got one. Something better. I got 5 reasons.
5 reasons. Oh, Lord. He turned it around.
Turn it around. He woke me up this morning.
Oh. Don't do this. Don't do this.
Go
number
ahead.
4?
He woke me up this morning.
Come on, number 3. Come.
He woke me up.
Oh, Lord.
He woke you up.
That thing can touch you,
I'm
but
telling
one of
you.
them 5s will get you. What's the second one?
He woke me up this morning.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Oh my God.
And the number 1 reason,
Number 1. Final answer.
he woke me up this morning.
He woke me up this morning.
That's a testimony.
That's a
Turn that thing
testimony.
Shop at Black-owned and operated Solo Beauty, where you are appreciated and respected. Located at 8158 South Cottage Grove, Solo Beauty can supply all of your black hair care needs. Solo Beauty is open from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m., Tuesday through Saturday.
The Chicago Legal Network is the collaboration of attorneys that concentrate in many areas of the law most needed in Chicago neighborhoods. The CLN lawyers focus on personal injury, criminal defense, and other issues. The CLN lawyers all average over 20 years of legal experience and are dedicated to helping the Chicago community. The Chicago Legal Network is committed to developing black lawyers through mentorship and co-representation. So if you were injured in a car accident, slip and fall, or injured on the job, or you need assistance with criminal defense, including driving violations and DUI, check out ChicagoLegalNetwork.com for more information or call 773-912-3545. 773-912-3545.
Introducing your trusted source for high-quality black emojis, better known as Blackmoji. We believe black is beautiful, and that beauty should be reflected in the digital market. Now there is an app that does just that, starting with Black Greek letter organizations. Blackmoji D9 offers more than an emoji app. It is a cultural experience of black excellence. Download the app in the Apple or Google Play Store to access a specially curated catalog of emojis representing the Divine Nine. Use the emojis to celebrate Black Greek events, acknowledge current events, support social causes, and learn about esteemed Black Greek members who blaze the trail of Black history. A portion of every subscription goes toward a scholarship fund specifically for members of Black Greek letter organizations to help keep the legacy alive. Download the Blackmoji app today.
WIFTBPM.
Live it up. You about that life? I'm about that life. You ain't really about that life. If you really about that life, JC, spit a key. Let me test your work. Boss, you the boss? Let me test your work. Jeezy, you talking breezy? Let me test your work. Cam, you the man? Let me test your work. Dre and Snoop, like that chronic, I need something stronger. Molly cute, that's like an aspirin for my daughter. Big time, in the club with a case of Ace. And I stiff that whole table. Scarface, another court case. I'm a frequent offender. Where Wyclef was hot, I was gone to November. 6 years, hard time. Bobby was
fucking up, Whitney could have been mine. We would have been so high and so in love. When Amy Winehouse died, I could have saved her. I could have smoked like half of that. She wouldn't have had to go in cardiac arrest. Hands up under her dress. Lindsay Lohan her mess, but I still cope above her breast. I must confess, I heard from a little birdie. Bring some crystal meth, you can get that from Fergie. Had a real nice dream, me and Charlie Sheen.
What's up, family? What's up, family? We are back and we are live from the What's In It for the Black People Media Studios. My name is Herb Howard. His name is Toussaint Werner. This is I Said What I Said. Thank y'all so very, very much for choosing to be a part of this here conversation. Thank y'all so much for continuing to come back and, I would say, test our work, but that's not yet. We creating work together. We're creating work together to see if somebody else want to test it. So we appreciate y'all so very, very much for being a part of this particular conversation here on this hump day. I was watching Book of Dawn today, and she said Week Code Wednesday is the What's In It for the Black People media version of Hump Day. She said that's our Hump Day because Week Code Wednesday come on. So that's Hump Day. I saw Reese the Ruler pop in here a minute ago. Reese, if you're still in here, man, you missed me fire a wonderful joke at you.
Hey, shout
it's
out
brilliant.
to Deborah Wilson. I'm going to say Miss Wilson.
Yeah, man.
Who's at 63 years of age and says that my music taste is changing because of this program. I find myself throughout the day singing, I'm about that life.
Test that work, Miss Deborah Wilson. All the way across the pond.
Absolutely awesome.
You know, she sent us the letter. I mean, she put us in her on her show, right? Mm-hmm. Way across the pond, sent us the letter and stuff like that. I mean, the link to her show. Dope. Yeah, no, super, super dope. Got nothing but the utmost love and respect for her. We appreciate you. And, test the work. We was actually just having a conversation before we came back from break about maybe we test too much work. Maybe Test Your Work ain't an everyday song.
It's not.
Maybe I agree with you. Maybe when the vibe is right, when we hit clowning and that's the mood.
Gotta be a gift.
A Test Your Work thing. We didn't. I don't know that we deserve that. The energy of the show today deserved Test Your Work. It's kind of like once we had that conversation, like let's cut it off a little soon.
We gotta maintain balance.
Yeah,
right? Maze is for the elderly.
ISWIS for seniors.
For the elderly, and I think legitimately every other show is kind of for the youth.
Salim.
Well, you're right.
Muwakil's World?
Salim is for the geniuses.
Muwakil's World is for everybody. So, another thing, Don. Oh, King, I don't know if you heard this, Salim. Don said you didn't know a word today. It was, I forgot what the word was. The definition was those of candle makers, people who make candles. People who make candles. And I think the word was like candelier, chandelier, something like candler, chandelier, something like that. And
where I'm from, we call it Target.
Yeah, but the lady who was on the Book of Dawn today, she has $70 single candles.
Salute.
At least that's what I heard.
That's how capitalism works.
But so Dawn drops the definition of this word, the candle or whatever, chandler. I don't even remember what the word was. And then she says, of course, R.O. Double knows. R.O. Double, don't you make candles? And so when she drops the word, she says, bet you Salim don't know that. I said, well, check you out. Talking about what Salim don't know. Salim probably made the word.
Yeah, I'm sure Salim knew the word. That wasn't one of those.
No, Salim has dropped words that I wasn't even sure was English.
Yeah.
Okay.
But no, I'm serious though. We got to maintain balance, right? We got to maintain being the bridge for the generations. You know what I mean? I think there's power in that position. I think there's power in that position, not just on these microphones, but just in our position in life.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's the J. Cole. What do you say? I'm dead in the middle of two generations. I'm a little bro and big bro all at once.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
You know, and I think there's power in being able to connect those two differences in ideas.
Yeah, it's a necessity to reach up to Salim and say, hey, what you got for me? And then reach back to, I won't say reach up or down. That's not how I want to say it. To reach over to Salim, say what you got for me, and then reach over to Lil Ron. Say, in that vein, I got this for you.
In that vein of going both ways, tomorrow we're going to have Godfather Uncle Walt.
Hey, Uncle Walt.
Come in.
Happy birthday, 88 years young.
Yeah. And we're going to have a conversation around a documentary he was just featured in around the Ali Summit. We're going to play snippets from the documentary as well as having a conversation with Uncle Walt. I think I want to have some of this conversation around, what's it mean to be a man too with Uncle Walt too.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So even the can you whoop my ass statement is a statement I took directly from Uncle Walt.
Over or under 30% of how much of Uncle Walt's face we gonna be able to see in the game.
So hopefully he'll be a little bit prepared this time.
That's fair. I don't care.
I'm gonna call him and try to set him up. Maybe we'll run through a test run tonight.
Not at all necessary.
I'm gonna do it. I'm
yeah,
not
do whatever you want. I'm just saying I don't really. You know what I mean? No, that's dope. Definitely looking forward to having Uncle Walt on the show tomorrow. He just celebrated his 88th birthday, but it's always just good to chop it up with him. So looking forward to that as well. We're also going to be talking to Brian Gorman, a.k.a. Superman, man. He's a brother of ours, somebody we've known for a long time, worked with closely out in the community, doing a lot of different things in the streets. I call Brian Superman. Because
dang, what we talking to be about tomorrow? They launching the magazine.
Yeah, he's launching the magazine. Is it out yet? Should I be? Well, he's coming on the show, so we're gonna talk about it anyway.
Yeah, but it's not out yet.
It's the yeah, I know. I mean, but I ain't mean like out. But anyway, it's called the Blueprint for Black Liberation, and it's the magazine. I know you've got an article that's going to be in one of the editions. I don't know if it's in the first edition.
And the article's about manhood and masculinity and what's it mean to be black.
Oh, okay.
A black man, brother.
Yeah. Super dope. Definitely looking forward to that piece. Always good to chop it up with Brian. I call him Superman not only because how hard he goes. He do so much stuff, right? From, the community stuff, but he started like community libraries, right? Those little boxes that you build, those little houses that you build where you, put a book in, take a book out type thing. He put one of those out in the hundreds. But I started calling him Superman the day we was out on just, hanging out in the community, patrolling, if you will, and somebody hit somebody's car on 79th Street. Right in front of that liquor store that's next door to Josephine's. Hit somebody's car and then just like peeled off. Mm-hmm. And the other person came out of the store like, yo. And the person, they like, skirt, pull off, right? They hit it right, try to cut through that. They race to the light west to King Drive, then bust it right. Superman sprints down the street, cuts through that Burger King parking lot, runs down that alley, okay? Like chasing after this car so he can get a license plate or something. I'm like, dude, can you please come back? Like, I'm not finna chase cars with you out here, man. Stop playing. But that is the type of stuff that Superman does. We're going to have him on the show. His name is Brian Gorman. Looking forward to that piece. He called me today. He was like, hey, what time is the show today? And this might have been my fault. I might have told him today. But really, it was tomorrow. So anyway, we'll have that tomorrow. We'll have Uncle Walt on the show tomorrow as well. Definitely looking forward to that.
Yeah. So Beulah said that was an interesting exchange. I know we only got a couple minutes left.
Yeah. Necessary exchange.
I don't know if it was interesting though.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And I'm serious, G.
I know you're serious. You're always serious, but it's still funny. That's interesting. Yeah, I don't know if it was interesting.
I don't. Because I'm saying, that's why I wrote the article for Brian. Like, Brian gave me carte blanche, right? He said, you can write whatever you want.
Mm-hmm.
And I decided to write about masculinity, and there's this constant conversation that's taking place in our communities right now about gender and gender values and gender this, gender that, gender this, gender that. And I think that it's essential that men in our community find themselves in the polarity of manhood.
Mm-hmm.
And, and this is no disrespect to the brother Obari or anybody else operating within that paradigm, because I fully understand where they're coming from when they speak and talk the way they talk. Mm-hmm. I'm fully aware of what it means to be in alignment. I'm fully aware of the value of spirituality, but we are here. Mm-hmm. And here contextually has its own rules.
It does. It definitely does.
And in order, the only way I can see us conquering said rules to find our truth and our own destiny and our own space on this planet, it's going to come with some sacrifice and some consequence. And I'm sorry, but we do need alignment, but it's alignment within that warrior spirit.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And the more and more I look around, the more and more I think about it, because we fully assimilated, and that's why I was making the analogy about there's a difference between victimhood and volunteerism. Mm-hmm. We've aligned ourselves with being volunteers for our own oppression. Mm-hmm. Right? So there's a reason why. And it's not to say that a King doesn't exist. It's not to say that a Malcolm doesn't exist. It's not to say that a Stokely doesn't exist or the energy that those people had doesn't exist, because I think it exists within me. I think it exists within you. I think it exists in some of my brothers in my peer group. But I think there's a reason why it doesn't manifest in the way that it manifested at their time. Because there was a full understanding from black men specifically about where they stood in the lexicon of their value in America. Today, we're confused, right? And we've started to elevate the beta male, and this is my truth, as the exemplary or the definitive of what manhood should be.
Agreed.
Right? I would almost argue that the vast majority of the time that we identify something as manhood, specifically, it would mainly be based in the context of capitulating.
How closely aligned to whiteness it is, right?
Yeah, how accepted you are within to this society. Because a real alpha man that is at the bottom of any structure is going to look like an outcast. He's going to.
And you got to accept that.
You don't got to accept it, but that's what he's going to look like. And you can choose some other stuff.
No, I'm saying if you're going to be there, you got to accept the fact that most people ain't there with you is all I'm saying. Yeah. No, that's a very real thing. What did you show me before we was on the show? Like, what's Lil Uzi Vert? Was that the rapper or was one of the others? Don't matter which one it was. Fool put a doggone stone in his head. Like some type of pink canary, I don't know, some type of pink diamond in his forehead. Like literally had an operation to get this thing put in his doggone forehead. How out of your mind do you got to be? And then he says they estimated it was some $24 million, which I don't think that's true. I don't think that artist is worth $24 million. But whatever it is, the stone itself and the procedure that it takes to you to get it surgically implanted into your forehead, what's wrong with you, man? Like, what is wrong with you? That's what we are. As soon as you showed me that, I was like, man, why do we even try, bro? Why do we even try? We got young dudes as rappers out here, quote unquote, successful doing their thing, and you get a stone surgically implanted into your forehead, sir? Like, can we not, like, just, can we not do stuff like that? Can we not get stones surgically implanted into our forehead? Is that too much to ask? Am I off base for saying that that's crazy? Like,
I think that is insane, but that's an extremity too, right? But even in the context of, what's the little dude's name who got the thing in his head?
I think it was Lil Uzi Vert. It might have been one of the other ones. I don't want to put it on his name if it's not him, but they pretty much the same to me, to be honest with you.
Lil Uzi Vert. Those guys become the definitive of the next generation's understanding of masculinity. Him. Right? Because those guys are the purveyors of, at least in our minds,
he can do what he wants.
Yeah, and because he's mastered capitalism in some sense. Right? That's why I said we didn't know anything about Corona until it hit the NBA. Because that's the only people that we're paying attention to in the lexicon of capital.
Right.
Right? Even though the conversation was happening at the governmental level or the economic level 2-3 weeks beforehand. It didn't get real to our community until it hit the NBA. So I get Obari's statement about survival, but we also live in the information age. And at what, again, it goes back to what point do you stop being a victim, stop being a victim and start being a volunteer? Because there's access to information, there's access to understanding, even if we're going back to the spiritual understanding, right? You the sum total of all that comes before you. If you just tune into you, these answers might be revealed to you, right? And, you know, even to the Charleston White thing. Why you killing niggas? Niggas is dead. Like, that's the prevailing perspective.
That's real.
You know what I mean?
That's real.
That's the prevailing perspective. So, with that being said, you know, the reason why, and this might not be the full reason why, but in a lot of ways, the audacity of a Malcolm, the audacity of a King or a Stokely or a Huey. Or, you know, we can go down the line.
On and on and on. Sure.
Is magnetic to a young boy coming up in an oppressive system. Because that gumption and that audacity looks like masculinity. But that same, we can harness that same audacity with this message today, and we look insane.
Absolutely. But I'm saying that's what we got to understand, that's how you're going to look to most people. Most people are trying to assimilate to this whiteness and this culture as best they can. And so when you operating outside of that, you're like, man, you crazy. And it's almost pointless to argue with them that no, you're crazy, right? Because everything that they've known, everything they've ever been taught tells them that this is the way to operate. Now, never mind the fact that they just kind of let that go and look inside, they'll find how they really should be operating. That don't really matter. So you just got to be willing. What?
Henry says, sounds like Stone Love to me.
Yeah, I saw it. I saw it.
That's so not funny.
I saw it. Listen, man, we are just about done here. I want to say thanks to Abari Carmen for coming on and joining the show and having that interesting conversation, Toussaint. At least in my opinion, and in Beulah's opinion, it was interesting. Is that fair?
Salute to y'all, man. Hey, bless y'all heart.
Bless y'all hearts. Anyway, man, we appreciate y'all so very, very much for tuning in. Y'all make sure y'all come back and hang out with us this evening at 7 o'clock. In the Zone with Brian Foster will be on the air. And then at 8:30, Week Ho Wednesday with Reese the Ruler and Toy. Is it Toy Hutchinson? How am I making that up? Reese and Toy will be here at 8:30 for Week Ho Wednesday. Y'all come back and find out why DJ thinks it's okay to tell his girlfriend, fiance, wife that the only reason that he gave her an STD was because he got gang raped by 7 men in an alley. He's going to explain that this evening. And so y'all come back and
Flo, you producing that show too? Or you doing the boys?
I got it.
This is going to be interesting.
I'm not even going to say, like, I'm telling you, my body went into shock. I didn't even hear him say it. And I responded to him and I didn't hear him say it. I responded to him about something not completely different, but not at all what he said, because I just it didn't hit my ear that way. But, you know, y'all come back for that, man. Y'all come back for that. We appreciate y'all so very, very much for tuning in to this particular show. I'm kind of tired. I'm not usually tired after the show.
It's all like yelling and hollering and shit you was doing.
I only did that for like 5-10 minutes. Hey, shout out to the cuss jar today. The cuss jar got fed well. Wasn't this $20 at the beginning of the show?
It was.
I think it's $10 now.
That don't look like 10.
I meant to say I think it's $7 now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah, I counted it over the break and it was 8. So I knew we had gave it 12. Yeah, so there's that. $13 of cursing in one day. 2 days we had 21. 1 day we had 13 to it. So right now we're about $34, $35, give or take, is where we are.
We can just get the guests to submit to the cousin phone. We'd be up about 100 right now.
You ain't lying, because Mays dropped at least 30 in about 5 minutes, and Obari dropped probably like 25 more today. So we'd be about 100. If y'all want to
how hard it is to get us in alignment.
If y'all want to contribute, y'all can too. Shout out to Shannon Young for sending the $2 just because she likes to hear us curse. If y'all be at home cussing and y'all want to contribute too, y'all can contribute, no problem. We will certainly put each and every penny right into this jar, and at the end of the month, we will bring on someone representing one of those organizations, and we will present them with the donation from the ISWIS family from the Cuss Fund. And we look very much forward to March 1st when I can go beep, 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 like just go crazy, man. But we are out of time. Thank y'all for tuning in. We appreciate y'all for Flo in the production studio doing all of the hard work, and for Toussaint Warner. My name is Herb Howard. We'll see y'all tomorrow at 3 o'clock. Until then, y'all be good to each other. Peace.
Salam alaikum.
Hey, I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying least 10 murdered in a weekend. Homicides on women are increasing. 12 blinking at us for no reason. Feel like we going off the deep end. They still ain't found Kierico. Reported missing about a year ago. And she was pregnant with a little one. Her family praying for a miracle. Taxi V and Kanika ain't get no justice. Where the energy they have for Jussie Smollett? I done heard every theory, but where the suspects? Ain't no luck, yeah. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. I pray we don't get lost in all our sorrow. I say I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears. I'm crying real tears for Chicago. We don't know if we gon' let us see tomorrow. No. Woman found dead, baby cut out of a womb.